Good evening and welcome to the February 4th, 2026 Queen Anne's County Board of Education meeting. Can I please get a motion to resume open session?
I would like to make a motion to resume open session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can I please get the review of the closed session agenda items?
Yes. Pursuant to general provisions, Article 3-305 and 3-104, the Board of Education of Queen Anne's County will met in closed session to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom this public body has jurisdiction, any other personnel matter that affects one or more specific individuals, and to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice, to consult with staff, consultants, or other individuals about pending or potential litigation, and to conduct collective bargaining negotiations or consider matters that relate to negotiations.
Thank you. Under administrative, I would like to make a motion to modify the agenda to add an action item 6.10 for the board support of House Bill 569, authorized use of revenues from development impact fees.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. 2.01, can I please get a motion to approve the February 4th agenda as presented?
I would like to make a motion to approve the January 7th closed session minutes as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I get a motion for 2.02 and 2.03 for the approval of the January 7th closed session and the January 7th open session?
I would like to make a motion to approve the January 7th open session and closed session minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And can I please get a motion to approve the January 21st budget work session minutes and also the January 21st closed session minutes?
I would like to make a motion to approve the January 21st budget work session minutes as well as the closed session minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. 2.06, we have appointment of superintendent. Before we go on to take a vote, I would ask any of the board members if they would like to say anything or have a few words before we go into voting. Everybody wants to go?
I do. Actually, I do.
Okay.
Dr. Kibler has been with us for a number of years. In the last few, he said he was going to be the assistant superintendent for a year and stay around. But that didn't happen, but that's okay. We'll keep working with it. But thank you very much for all of your support and the time that you've spent coming up to speed really quickly and keeping us going in the right direction. Thank you.
So I'll say a couple things. Dr. Kibler here, he has been putting out fires in the school district, both literally and figuratively, since he has taken over. Addressing urgent operational challenges while stabilizing district systems and priorities. Under his leadership, the district's budget has been brought to clear focus with improved transparency, accountability, and strategic planning to ensure fiscal responsibility and long-term sustainability, and that's with a lot of help to the finance department as well. He has also worked to enlighten and strengthen the district's work culture, fostering collaboration, professionalism, and renewed commitment to students, staff, and the community. And I want to say thank you very much for that. And we've seen a noticeable difference in this school year with Dr. Kibler at that.
Thank you. Just echoing Shannon and Matt's words, Dr. Kibler's leadership and his genuine personality and his fostering with his relationships with the board, with the community, with the teachers, we've heard nothing but great support on his behalf, so we thank you again.
Thank you. What they said, plus, as a parent of 5 children that have gone through Queen Anne's County public school systems, especially with 2 younger ones now, I could not feel more at ease that Dr. Kibler is at the helm, and I feel confident that the county is going in a positive direction. I am excited for the collaboration with the executive team as well as the board and Dr. Kibler, and I'm excited for what the future holds.
Welcome and thank you, Dr. Kibler. We're excited to have you and thank you for making our job so easy. I think even if we had done a search, we would have ended up with you and the best candidate. So
right.
excited.
Do we have a motion?
Yeah, I would like to make a motion to appoint Dr. Matthew Kibler as the superintendent of Queen Anne's County Public Schools for a 4-year term beginning July 1st, 2026 through June 30th of 2030.
My second.
All of us in favor?
Aye. Welcome aboard. Yay. Yes.
Can I say something first?
Yes.
Not allowed.
I was waiting. I just wanted to say, so I'm deeply grateful to the Board of Education for your trust that you've placed in me with this appointment. I'm honored to serve the students, staff, families, and community, and I don't take this responsibility lightly. I want to thank the entire community for the continued engagement and support of our schools. I truly believe that strong schools are built through partnership, and I look forward to continuing that work together. And I hope that the community has felt that from me, that I believe in that partnership. I'm especially thankful to my wife, Bryn, and my boys, Sam and Jack, that are back here with us tonight. Without their constant support and understanding, it just really makes this work possible, and I'm thankful for them. And I hope the boys are okay with their dad being superintendent. I must say to the community and to the board, as superintendent, my top priorities will always be student achievement and the safety and support of our students. Every decision that we make must reflect our commitment to ensuring that all students are supported, challenged, and able to learn in safe, welcoming environments. And that's what you'll get with me at the helm. I hope that you felt that this year, and that's what you'll continue to feel for years to come. And thank you all.
Thank you.
You're part of this party. They love this part.
All right, big smiles. Ready?
Can we stay up here for recognition?
Oh, are we ready? Okay, cool. Cool. Thanks. Okay. Is that on? Okay. Ray can hear. Can you all hear? Test. Okay, now we're good. Thank you. Thanks, Ray. Okay, so now into our award portion of the evening. So the first up is the Energizer Bunny Award. This award is given to a staff member or volunteer who keeps on going. It is sponsored by Bayview Financial, Mr. Chip Brittingham and Mr. Wayne Humphreys. If they could please come up and join us. Thank you. And our winner of this award is nominated by Mrs. Michelle Carey, principal of Centerville Elementary School. If she could come up as well. And I see Mrs. Van Aken, assistant principal, is here as well, if she'd like to come up. And our Energizer Bunny Award winner for this month is Miss Melissa Lawler. Congratulations. Mrs. Carey says, Mrs. Lawler is truly an energized bunny. She runs on high octane each and every day and brings enthusiasm into everything she does. As our special educator chairperson, Melissa plays a vital role in supporting scheduling, collaborating with her team, and ensuring that students and staff are set up for success. She is always willing to chip in wherever needed, often going above and beyond without hesitation. Ms. Lawler's positive attitude, strong leadership, and team-first mindset make a meaningful difference every day. Her contagious laugh brings joy to those around her and create a ripple of positivity throughout our team, boosting morale, fostering a supportive, welcoming environment. She is an invaluable member of the CES community. We are truly grateful for her energy, dedication, flexibility, and amazing attitude, which makes CES a better place for both students and staff. And it's very true. I've seen that too.
Get up here. I'm not doing this by myself. And this might say something, but this is my. All right. In my 24 years.
Gotta scooch together.
Problem. I'm it's fun. What to say? Let's get you reverse. Here's some of the countries. Yeah. Okay. There we go. There we go. All right, everyone on three. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Oh, yeah, please, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ben. Appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. Our next award is the Spirit Award. This award is given to an individual who embodies the spirit of Queen Anne's County Public Schools. This award is nominated by Miss Julie Hickey. If she'd like to come up. Miss Beard is here as well. She wants to come up as well. And our Spirit Award winner this month is Miss Lisa Hondros, Bayside Elementary Cafeteria Manager. So a lot of people had a lot of good things to say about you. So I'm gonna sum up a couple of them if that's all right. So Lisa embodies the very essence of what makes our department special. Her optimism, happiness, and overall positive attitude is an asset to the food service department and the students and staff at BES. She consistently shows up with positive energy and continually comes up with ways to make school meals exciting for the students at BES. Bunny, your operations manager, thinks of one word when she thinks of you: ambitious. You strive to make the cafeteria a fun place for students. You look for inventive ways to make lunches appealing. You decorate the serving line to make it look inviting for students, and you have put systems in place that make your serving lines run smoothly. Miss Deacon, principal at BES, added, Lisa is the driving force behind our amazing cafeteria staff. She is truly spirited, and her energy and enthusiasm are absolutely contagious. She meticulously decorates the cafeteria throughout the year, beautifully transforming it with each season. She greets everyone with a warm smile and is welcoming to all students. Congratulations. That tripped me off. That's not allowed.
Yeah. Dr. Schreckengoss to your right. 1, 2, 3.
Congratulations. Okay, and our final award for this evening is the Shining Star Award. The Shining Star Award is presented to an individual in our school system who shines. Nominated by Miss Kathy Barletta, principal of Kent Island Elementary School. If she could come up. And this month's Shining Star is Miss Andrea Hall, aka Nurse Ann. Ms. Barletta says, Anne has been the nurse at KIES for the past 6 years. Her dedication to the needs of the students is outstanding. Not only does she take care of the scrapes, bumps, loose teeth, and illnesses that happen at an elementary school, but she also tends to the students who have daily medication, feeding tubes, catheters, and diabetes. She creates her daily schedule so that she does not miss the students who need to visit every day. Not only does she tend to the student, but makes phone calls to parents and logs all the data into PowerSchool. Last year, she had over 4,000 documented visits to the health room. Wow. She communicates with her supervisor as well as the other nurses in the county and even provided training during their PD. Nurse Ann also completes a hand washing lesson with each of the first grade classes. Although not often, but on occasion, we have had serious medical attention needed for staff and students. During each of these events, she remains calm and provides her medical knowledge to help the staff, students, staff members, and parents navigate through what could be a very stressful situation. Anne's dedication to Ken Island Elementary School makes her our shining star. Congratulations.
I was gonna make like a binder of ours, her nurse notes. Oh, yes. Yeah, we are at least 40 of those. 100% are your kids. Yeah. I want to give you much. And they're gone.
And we give them time to exit.
I know, so and they're gone.
All right, next up we have board involvement. Does anybody have anything they would like to add or address?
This month's QAC meeting was very, very well done. Thank you to Ms. Passon for engaging all of our parents and volunteers on some documents that the board will be receiving for policy changes and updates. It was very enlightening. I had a lot of good time. I'll try to come back again.
Great, thank you. Don't have much for board involvement this month with the weather and kid activities, but we have a busy month ahead of us. There's a lot going on the next couple of weeks that I think we all are going to take part in, and we look forward to seeing what these events have to bring forward.
Was able to attend a commissioner liaison meeting, but I would just like to thank everybody for bearing with the snow, the ice, all the people that have to make the hard decisions about canceling school, not canceling school. I know they get a lot of strife for their decisions, but everyone has to remember that they're trying to look out for the well-being of 7,000 students, not just one student. And our county is so diverse that you can walk out somebody's door and it's different on Ken Island than it is opposed to Churchill. So I just wanted to thank you for all the hard decisions, and we're back in school, so that's all that counts.
January was filled with lots of strep and stomach bugs and days home with my children. So I'm looking towards February. I'm really excited. I'm going to be going to Sudlersville Middle School on Friday for the African American celebration at 6 p.m. To 8 o'clock. So hopefully I'm going to be taking my little ones there, and hopefully I've heard amazing things about it. Good food, good time. So hopefully I'll have something exciting to report next month.
See you there.
I just did the MABE legislative meetings this month. They had the MABE legislative day had to be virtual, so it was not as engaging and interesting as the other ones. But they did have some good speakers. Brooke Learman, the comptroller of Maryland, and then the head of the IAG were on the call. And then we had another meeting this last Monday virtually. And just to let everybody know, MABE has, if you just Google MABE, M-A-B-E, legislative tracker, they have like every bill that is related to schools, and then their positions on it and everything. So it's a really easy way to see what's coming up in Annapolis this season. So that's it.
Thank you, everybody. Our student board members, I'll let you guys duke it out who goes first.
This month at Queen Anne's County High School, we are celebrating CTE Month. We have senior events on the 10th, networking on the 11th, and some mock interviews on the 12th. We have an upcoming Skills USA local challenge on Friday the 13th. 8 different CTE pathways will be represented and compete in the Queen Anne's County High School lobby. The Blizzard Ball, sponsored by Best Buddies, will be not this Friday, will be Friday, February 20th. And the Future Farmers of America Spirit Week will be from February 21st to February 28th. We're excited to get rolling in semester 2.
So this was the week of start of semester 2, which Thomas just said. Even though it was a little bit of delay, Mr. Harding said it was a smooth transition to the semester. Kent Island High School had a successful pathway night on February 2nd. And we are now we're in the scheduling season for next semester for students of KI next year. And speaking of future scheduling, on the 13th of February, the school will hold a CTE field trip to Chesapeake Community College, and all 10th graders are invited to attend. I was told if anyone has any questions on information about the field trip to please contact our career counselor, Karen Hessen. Other upcoming events, Kent Island held our first coffee with the principal this January. And there will be another coffee with the principal on February 26th in the Media Center. And this is just a new event that Mr. Harding's putting on so he can answer questions for any parents they have for him. So he just sits in the Media Center for an hour or so. And parents come in as they please and leave whenever, just if they want to ask him any questions or have any questions about the school. The Science Honor Society will be holding a trivia night February 19th in the cafeteria. Spring sports orientation will be on the 23rd. And lastly, the spring musical will be on February 27th. And this spring, it will be Annie.
Nice.
And that's all for KI.
Thank you, gentlemen. I know this says interim, but Superintendent Kibler now.
Take that word off. Thank you. Obviously the snow threw a wrinkle in the plans, but so I didn't get out to too many events with being closed for a couple of days, but I did get to attend a boys basketball game at Queen Anne's County High School and a girls basketball game at Kent Island High School. Great to be at. I also went to the Queen Anne's County Economic Outlook event put on by the Queen Anne's County Economic Tourism and Development Department. That was really just a good way to see leaders across Queen Anne's County businesses and government and things and have everybody together. Members of our Eastern Shore delegation were there and spoke, which was nice. We learned a little bit about the Maryland Transportation Authority and the new bridge that's coming far down the road. I'm not going to comment too much on that, so I don't say something out of turn. But and I'm starting now with Dr. Schreckengoss' second round of school visits, which is really nice to talk individually with principals and meet people in the school and see the things that are going on. So that's been great. I do want to take the time to thank Mr. Pender and his team for all their hard work over the last 10 days, getting our schools back and ready for students and staff to safely arrive. Not easy. That storm is something like I've never seen before with the snow and then the ice on top. And thank you for your work. Also want to thank just our county roads crews and as well as the town municipalities making the town safe and the county safe for travel and get our schools back. As Ms. Cape said, it's no easy task. And, you look out one side of your house and see one thing, you look out the other side of the house and see something different. And when you have to make a decision for 7,500 students, a couple thousand staff members, when you include the bus drivers and you have student drivers and parents driving people to school, it's no easy decision. We will always make the decision that we think is safest for all of those folks. And I'm sorry that sometimes it's an inconvenience, but the safety is going to come first, and that's always going to be where we make our decision. So thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you. Next up, we have citizen participation and public comment.
We ask all speakers to keep in mind the following guidelines. Speakers should sign the roster, including their telephone number and address. Comments should be limited to 3 minutes in length. Comments longer than 3 minutes should be submitted in writing. Statements to the board should relate to a matter of general policy over which the board has authority. Comments about the actions or statements of individual staff members are not appropriate for public comments and should be referred to the superintendent of schools or board president. If you have any specific questions, the board will make sure an appropriate staff member responds to your question. The board respects your desire and right to convey your message freely, but asks as a courtesy to this board and our citizens that you show respect for all. First up, Crystal Connolly.
Hi.
So if you just state your name and address. And
Sure.
Then,
My name's Crystal Conley. We live at 1250 Grange Hall Road in Centerville. Good evening, President Capes, members of the board, and Superintendent Kibler. My name is Crystal Conley, and I live on Grange Hall Road in Centerville. I'm the parent of an incoming student, and I feel that parents should have an option or a choice when choosing an educational pathway for their children. My husband and I were born and raised on the Eastern Shore and just recently moved back with our son. For the past 4 years, we resided in South Carolina, where our son had access to a wide range of educational opportunities. Upon returning to Maryland, we realized that the range of comparable options weren't limited, which has always been an important factor in our educational considerations. Queen Anne County Public Schools offer many strengths. However, we feel that a charter school could provide a unique and enriching learning environment that is better aligned with our child's growth, development, and academic goals. I was fully prepared to homeschool my son. However, having a charter school option would allow our family to join and stay connected to the Queen Anne County Public School System. This would not only support our educational goals, but would ensure that public education funding remain in the local school system rather than being directed toward a private or homeschooling alternative. I am personally aware of many local parents that feel similarly and would value the ability of a charter school option. A public charter school will be part of Queen Anne County Public Schools as a tuition-free choice for students and parents that operates with increased flexibility in scheduling and curriculum, but is still held accountable through a performance-based contract and ongoing oversight. It is designed to be fully aligned with state academic standard, accountability measures, and reporting requirements. It is designed to serve all students, and enrollment is open and inclusive with full compliance for students with disabilities. A charter school would implement a classical content-rich approach, one that emphasizes strong literacy, mathematics, science, history, and critical thinking skills. Classical education is research-supported and matches how students learn at different stages of development, ensuring both academic growth and long-term retention of skills. In summary, I hope that you will consider overseeing another educational program that would not only give our community another public school option, but further enhance the great reputation of Queen Anne County Public Schools. Thank you for your time, leadership, and commitment to our students, and I'm excited and look forward to hearing more about this at future meetings.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up would be Nancy Connolly.
Good evening. My name's Nancy Conley. I live on Grange Hall Road, Centerville. So good evening to President Capes and the members of the board and Superintendent Kibler. I'm a lifelong tax-paying resident of Queen Anne's County, where I've raised both my children, and I proudly worked for the Board of Education for 28 years. I'm also a grandparent of children who are attending Queen Anne County School, and some that are going to be entering Queen Anne County. I believe parents and grandparents that are involved should have access to additional educational options with the public school system. Providing another option would allow families better flexibility in scheduling, and it would best support a child's individual goals. I've learned there's been discussion of the possibility of a classical charter school in the county, and I also understand that the school would operate as a public school under the guidance and oversight of Queen Anne County Public School System, ensuring the high quality inclusion education of all the students. This is a great idea. I mean, I don't remember that being offered when my children were going through schools. So I think that this would be an addition to our county, and it would we could be the #1 on the shore to start something new, to give the rest of the state something to jump on to. I believe that offering the additional option would enhance our educational landscape, public accountability, and a strong academic foundation. So I'm interested to hearing anything that would further be discussed, and hopefully you guys will consider this as an option for this county. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. D'Onofrio?
Good evening, everyone. I wanted to come up and say a couple of things. Dr. Kibler, you forgot an event you were at, because I know I saw you at bingo. Did anyone see that? Yes. Dr. Kibler is so amazing. He went up, he was called up to stage, graced us all by participating in the event and calling out a number. And he called out his own family's number, 50-50. And then,
Out of 500 tickets.
to show you his character, to show you the man's character, he went ahead and called another number right away and shared that generosity, as did our Energizer Bunny, Miss Lawler, pass on her gift to a student, which shows us just two great examples of character that we have in this school district. And I am super excited to hear that he's going to be superintendent. As a parent, I see big changes this year. I see more transparency, more openness, and I think that's I think we've got a long way to go, but that mentality, that openness, that generosity, that genuine concern and ability to kind of be in there and part of the community, not just as somebody attending an event and witnessing it, but as somebody who is approachable, as somebody who is there and just shows up in a really big way with that. And it's not something I really got to see last year with leadership, but I see it now and I am very happy about it. That being said, I am also really excited to see some things that are going to be spoken about today, including snow days and virtual learning, because we need to be more proactive and less reactive. That may mean making more snow days built into the calendar to start with and working on a feasible virtual plan for our students and our teachers. And given what happened in Anne Arundel, one of our neighboring counties today, Dr. Kibler stating that safety is a priority is also a great comfort to me as a parent, knowing that he's going and setting foot in these schools. When I see Dr. Schreckengost at the schools sometimes, or any number of you, when I see you physically in the school, that is such a positive sign for a parent that you're really here for the community. And I want to see more than that. I want to see more and more of it until we have the support and the staff to make sure that we can bring up the intellectual abilities of our students and bring down the numbers of safety concerns. And I also want to say, while I'm here, last time we touched on a point of why are parents leaving, why are the enrollment numbers going down, or why are more parents homeschooling. Please take a look at previous meetings. Parents came here last year and I listened to them. Teachers came here last year and I listened to them as they spoke to maybe some different faces, but they spoke their concerns. And if we really want to get at the heart of what's happening, contact the teachers of some of the students who have left, because they'll have insight into where we can improve.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else?
Great. Next up for our current board action items, we have 6.01, the Human Resources Report and Interim Superintendent Contract Amendment Approval. Do we have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the Human Resources Report and the Interim Superintendent Contract Amendment as presented in closed session.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, 6.02. We have Kent Island Elementary School primary and intermediate playgrounds with Mr. Barraclough.
Good evening, President Capes, Vice President Dreyer, board members, Superintendent Kibler. executive team. For the record, my name is Daryl Barraclough. I am the Supervisor of Facilities and Design. Before you this evening, we have the award of the Kent Island Elementary School Playground Replacement Project. Late in 2025, I met with administration of Kent Island Elementary School as well as curriculum and instruction to review some of the needs and requirements that were that needed to take place in the replacement of both of the playgrounds. Some of the key things that that we talked about were the need to relocate the intermediate playground closer to the school so that it could be used safely. It could be moved away from the cross-county trail. That was always a concern for members of the community as well as staff at the school, as well as the SRO at the school, who pretty much had to spend a lot of time out there policing the area, making sure that things wouldn't happen. So that was a primary objective. And the other objective was to make the playgrounds accessible, adaptable, and include a wheelchair accessible swing. So with those and many other key elements, we approached the project in a very different manner than we have previously for playgrounds. In the past, many of the board members may remember I would come before and ask for approval based on award of a project through a cooperative purchasing agreement. What we wanted to do this time was a little bit of a different scenario. I like to call it a design charrette, where we basically give a select number of contractors the opportunity to look at the project, review the requirements. They're given a design to budget, and along with other criteria, they provide us with what they can do for that budget, and then we go through a quality-based selection process. That process includes four school board member, or school employee members. It includes Miss Barletta, myself, Mr. Pender, and a member from Miss Angela Giebert from Curriculum and Instruction. We reviewed all of the packages and scored each of the each of the submissions independent of one another. And upon that, we came up with a first round candidate, a second round candidate, third and fourth. The fourth round candidate, we did find that we had to disqualify that because their pricing did not fall within the stipulated budget that we gave folks. So we could not even really review or score that package, since it would be impossible to award to them. So with that, we came up with the highest scoring candidate was Game Time, operating as Cunningham Recreation. Just for the record, they are the contractor that had done a lot of the previous playgrounds, so we do have a long-standing record with them. It was really nice to kind of go through this process. I think it made a lot of the contractors sharpen their pencils and kind of put their best designs forward. So everybody was happy with the submission. So this evening we are seeking approval and award to Game Time for the playgrounds at Kent Island Elementary School. Any questions?
I do have a question. When would it be installed?
That'll be this coming summer, summer of 26.
Anybody else? No? Do we have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to award the installation of the primary and intermediate playgrounds at Kent Island Elementary School to Game Time, care of Cunningham Recreation, fiscal impact $719,999.99. Budget source county CIP FY26 funds.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
You're up next.
Yes, I am. Okay. Next on the list is a capital budget transfer. I am asking for approval to move $40,000 of the remaining funds from the Queen Anne's County High School roof replacement project to the 2026 project, Kent Island Elementary School fire alarm replacement. This transfer is needed to bring the budget up to $400,750. That would be inclusive of both state and county funds, and that would allow us to award the project. Any questions?
So the high school roof replacement is done.
Yes, that project is done and it's financially closed out. It's kind of what we were waiting on before we started the transfer process.
Gotcha.
Else? Do we have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion for the Queen Anne's County Board of Education to approve the internal budget transfer request, no fiscal impact.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Up with us again for that fire alarm replacement.
Yep. So now that we have the transfer approved, we did go out earlier in 2025. In June and September, we sought pricing from Johnson Controls. Johnson Controls is our fire alarm provider. We are sole sourcing this so that we maintain continuity of materials, manufacture, and reporting and software and all those different things, as well as the model of the actual fire alarm control panel. That is sole sourced through Johnson Controls. So what we do is we sole source the materials through Johnson Controls, and Johnson Controls goes out and solicits 3 different prices from qualified electricians to install their work. So with that, they did receive 2 pricing, with 1 declining to bid. Lywood was the low electrical installer at $201,557. Battaglia was relatively close in their pricing. However, Battaglia did not include the requirement for wage scale pricing that's required for this project, since it is a state-funded project. So inclusive of Johnson Controls material and Lywood's installation, the total cost of materials and installation is $397,557.10. And as I mentioned, the funding breakdown is shown on the second page of the agenda item. And it does include local funds, FY25 local funds, and FY25 state funds. Any questions?
How often do you have to replace that fire systems?
This one's probably about 25 years old. I mean, within probably 5 years of that. I'd have to go back and look at the records to actually tell you the numbers, on the actual age of it. But
it's really expensive.
It is expensive, but things are, each of the components are addressable. So as the system goes out, and a sensor comes back to it, it's all directly linked and all of that. So when we get a call for a smoke detector or anything like that, our maintenance department knows exactly where that is when it comes in, since it's an addressable system. And the other nice thing about maintaining Johnson Controls through it, all of those systems are accessible through an iPhone or a Android app, and our maintenance department can access it and check on things or troubleshoot or do all of those things right from their handheld devices.
And this is not the sprinkler system. This is just the actual fire.
This is the actual fire alarm system. Pool stations and those types of things, strobes, audibles, strobes, and pool stations.
Thanks.
Anybody else? Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion for the Queen Anne's County Board of Education to award a purchase order to Johnson Control Fire Protection LP for the replacement of the fire alarm system at Kent Island Elementary School. Fiscal impact, $397,557.10. Budget sources, FY25 local funds, budget transfer, and FY25 state funds.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Mr. Pender for new buses.
Good evening, President Capes, Dr. Kibler, board members, executive team. For the record, my name is Sid Pender, Chief Operating Officer for Queen Anne's County Public Schools. I am here before you tonight for several bus purchases. These bus purchases are for contractor buses. And the first one that I have before you tonight is for Northern County Exchange LLC. This is a request to purchase a new school bus for the 2026-2027 school year. Mr. Aaron Mitchie is taking over bus 5414 from Miss Laura Bostic, who has been with the school system for decades and is finally retiring and getting ready to enjoy the other side of life. And so she will also be stepping down as the president of the Northern County Exchange. So Mr. Mitchie is seeking approval. Bus 5414 has over 350,000 miles on it, and it has experienced significant repair cost. As you've heard me say many, many times, the buses in the northern part of the county put on quite a few miles, more miles than the buses down on Kent Island. The physical impact would be $34,000, and that would come out of the FY27 operating budget. And if you remember, we can take buses up to 15 years, but they do have the option once you get to year 12 that you can either, if you're experiencing significant failures with that bus and repairs, or there are 8 paid spare buses. So if a bus goes down, you can slide that bus into there. So several of the ones tonight you'll see will fall into that category. There is a significant lead time on ordering a bus. So that's why we're here before you tonight requesting that. Are there any questions?
Can I get a motion?
I would like to make a motion for the Queen Anne's County Board of Education to approve Mr. Aaron Mishi of Northern County Exchange LLC to purchase a new bus for the 2026-2027 school year to replace bus 5414, fiscal impact $34,000, budget source FY27 operating budget.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Ready?
Again.
Yes, ma'am.
Go.
I'm here before you again tonight for Bay Area Transportation LLC for the approval of Mr. Dale Walls of the Bay Area Transportation to purchase a new bus for the 26-27 school year to replace bus 7815. Again, the physical impact is $34,000. It is budgeted in the FY27 operating budget. Mr. Walls is, again, one of the bus drivers that is predominantly in the northern sector and has put on quite a few miles on his bus also. Any questions?
Do we have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion for the Queen Anne's County Board of Education to approve Mr. Dale Walls of Bay Area Transportation LLC to purchase a new bus for the 2026-2027 school year to replace bus 7815, fiscal impact $34,000, budget source FY27 operating budget.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. The third request is the approval for Mr. Raymond Aaron Jr. of the Bay Area Transportation LLC to purchase a new bus for the 26-27 school year to replace bus 114. 114 still will have 2 remaining years on the life cycle of it. Per Comar, we can allow that bus to be put into the paid spare, which again, like I mentioned earlier, gives you those 8 buses in case one breaks down. We're still going to have another one on the road. Any questions?
Can we get a motion?
I would like to make a motion for the Queen Anne's County Board of Education to approve Mr. Raymond Aaron Jr. of Bay Area Transportation LLC to purchase a new bus for the 2026-27 school year to replace bus 10014, fiscal impact $34,000, budget source FY27 operating budget.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
And the last one. Approval for Mr. Eric Hanzo of Bay Area Transportation LLC to purchase a new bus for the 2026-2027 school year to replace bus 9214. This bus 9214 will become one of those 8 paid spares. per COMAR for the remaining life cycle. The physical impact is $34,000 in the FY27 operating budget. Any questions?
Do we have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion for the Queen Anne's County Board of Education to approve Mr. Eric Hanzo of Bay Area Transportation LLC to purchase a new bus for the 26-27 school year to replace bus 9214, fiscal impact $34,000, budget source FY27 operating budget.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have to vote on the board support of House Bill 569, which is the authorized use of revenues from development impact fees. So to sum it up, it would allow Queen Anne's County Commissioners to use the revenue from development impact fees to finance the capital costs related to replacement of public school facilities. I don't know if you had anything you wanted to add to it or.
No, really, it just allows the county government to have another way to help fund capital projects in the school district. So really just a benefit to the school system, putting our support behind this bill.
And then they also asked that somebody come testify next week. So I know Matt offered, he's available. I don't know if anybody else had any
What day?
objections.
It's on Tuesday, the 10th, I believe. At 1.
I believe it's in person.
Yeah, it's in person. In
Where in Cinema?
In
Annapolis.
Annapolis.
At the General Assembly.
I'd be able to. Can I? Do you want me to find out if I can do it?
Yeah, Matt can if you don't, or is it?
Oh, no, if you only need one
two-
person, or is it two people?
I think two.
Two-
If you both wanted to go, but usually I think they will only call a certain number of people up to the table to actually sit and speak. So one of the two of you would probably have to decide who's going to do that part. But certainly having more members in the audience to show support would not hurt anything.
And you said it's at 1 o'clock?
Yes.
I can go.
All right, I will, I'll make a motion for the board to support House Bill 569. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, does anybody want to take a break? Not hearing yes, so we'll keep going. All right. Next up for our information items, we have Bridget Passon for the first read of policy 634.
Good evening, President Capes, members of the board. Dr. Kibler, congratulations. Officially, congratulations.
Thank you.
We're so excited. Members of the executive team, for the record, my name is Bridget Passon. I'm the English Language Arts Supervisor for grades 3 through 12.
And I'm Angela Giebert. Congratulations, Dr. Kibler. Good evening to everybody. I am the Supervisor of Instruction for Early Childhood and English Language Arts pre-K to 2.
So we bring before you tonight our promotion and retention policy for pre-K through 3rd grade. Typically, we don't do a presentation with policies, but in looking at how complex this is, and in speaking with Dr. Kibler, we thought that it was a really good idea for you, for our community, to highlight some of the directives, requirements, language in state documents that are coming to not only us, but all districts in the state. So everybody that sits in our position over the course of the next 6 months will go to their board with this policy. And I can talk a little bit later about why we're coming to you kind of early, but there's a reason for that. So we're bringing it to you tonight, and we're just going to point out some things from the different state documents, and we wanted to have this presentation on the record for our community members as well to reference. All right, so this matters, this policy matters, this work matters, because the ultimate goal is to improve grade level proficiency, not just for 3rd grade, but for our pre-K through 3rd grade students. We want to ensure we're continuing to make equitable decisions. We want to strengthen our engagement with families, and we want to be aligned with our state literacy goals. The policy purpose, the promotion and retention policy purpose, is to make sure all of our early learners from pre-K up through third grade receive high-quality, evidence-based literacy instruction and appropriate interventions as needed. We are in alignment with the state's comprehensive pre-K policy, as it provides the framework for all the decisions we have to make for our students and whether or not at the end of third grade they're promoted on to fourth or retained in third grade for another year. So the first piece, the first few slides that I'm going to touch on have to do with attachment 1, or I believe it says 1 attachment, which is the state's comprehensive literacy policy, which was published last October, in October of 2024. So the state's comprehensive literacy policy has 4 main parts. That first part, Part A, has to do with the system of support for educators. The first requirement there is that all of our educators, no matter your title in our elementary schools, as well as ML and special ed teachers in our secondary schools, have to have documented professional development in the science of reading, phonics, phonemic awareness, vocabulary comprehension, so that whenever they go up for renewal of their licensure, they have to have that science of reading accreditation in order for it to be renewed. A second part of the system of support for educators is literacy coaching and making sure we're offering support to all our teachers on their Tier 1 instruction. That's the reading instruction that every single student gets, as well as on instruction in Tier 2, which is our reading interventions, and Tier 3, which is our very intensive small group interventions. So those are 2 really important parts that the state requires, and we are working with the specialists we have now and our hopes for next year in broadening our approach to literacy coaching. The second part of the state's comprehensive literacy policy has to do with instruction, assessment, and intervention. All of our instruction in these grades has to be aligned to science of reading. We have to have high quality instructional materials. We have to have a system of assessments, screeners, diagnostics, how we progress monitor our students, and we have to have multi-tiered supports. The great news is we have all of these things already, so we are well in alignment with the state here. The third part of this, of the state's comprehensive literacy policy, has to do with parent or guardian notification and student reading improvement plans. Now, with this policy, student reading improvement plans have to be created for every pre-K through third grade student next school year if you are not reading on grade level. That's an absolute requirement of the state's policy and the policy that we bring to you tonight. The second part of that parent guardian notification is that we will have to keep them and maintain them for any student who is retained at the end of their third grade year or promoted for what's known as a good cause exemption. And we're going to expound upon those 4 good cause exemptions a little later on. But on that document is all of the students' data, as well as what intervention we have them in, their scores from progress monitoring, their scores from their kind of triannual assessments. And that is used in communicating with the parent and in physical meetings with the parent, physical or virtual meetings with the parent annually. And the fourth part of the state's comprehensive literacy policy has to do with demonstration readiness for promotion or for retention. So that will come with kind of a 3-part approach. The first part has to do with that the state superintendent of schools is going to set a performance level for adequate reading proficiency. So if you'll click to the next slide, Angela, please. Mm-hmm. That's the first part of this. In order to move on to 4th grade, and again, this is starting in the 27-28 school year, so our current first graders will face these qualifications in order to be promoted. The students will have to score at or above the required performance level of the MSDE adopted ELA assessment. We don't have that exact number yet. We've heard what it might be, but it hasn't been set out in stone yet. They have bought a new vendor for assessments. There's something changing with assessments, so we didn't want to put anything that we don't have in writing yet on these slides. But the first option would be for the student to get a proficient score on the state test. Another option would be for the student to score at or above a required performance level on what the state approves as a reassessment as well as, and that word "and" is really important here, triangulated data from local measures, be they our screeners, our curriculum-based measures, our diagnostic assessments, benchmark assessments. So those are the options for our students from a data perspective to prove that they're ready to move on to fourth grade. Angela's going to talk about more directives that the state gave us on the promotion and retention policy, but I can pause right now and answer any questions about the state comprehensive policy if you have any. Okay, let's keep it going.
Okay. So here is the timeline that we were given from the State Department in April of last year. All school systems were required to develop and submit a sample student retention policy by September 1 of 2025. So obviously we put that into motion. We did receive technical assistance from MSDE, including a sample retention policy. MSDE then conducted reviews of all of our draft policies and actually provided us with direct information in October that our plan, our draft retention policy had earned 100% on the MSDE rubric. So we had hit the target for what they had expected us to have. So just in a way to make it clear, we're looking at what is the promotion criteria versus the retention criteria. To sum it up, in grade 3, as you've heard from Bridget, MSDE will have an ELA proficiency requirement that will be given to us. We don't know that at the moment. And a child would be promoted if they are proficient in grade 3. Or MSD will have a reassessment, and that's to be determined. They're in the process of developing that, along with the triangulated data that Bridget just referred to. Or a child might have a good cause exemption, which we'll expand upon that in just a moment. Children that would have be considered for retention would be children who do not meet this ELA proficiency per the MSDE requirement. They don't have a good cause exemption, or the parent consents to the retention, or we may have a situation where a parent doesn't respond to the school system's recommendation for retention, and the school system is permitted then to retain the child. Good cause exemptions. These are for children or students with IEPs who participate in the Maryland Alternate Education Framework. So they're working on a certificate of completion versus a high school diploma. It could be our multilingual learners. It could be students with IEPs or 504 plans who also have had 2 years of intervention. Previously retained children. Children cannot be retained again if they were retained in kindergarten, first or second grade. So those are our good cause exemptions. Part of this policy really requires us as a school system to be very clear in the process of keeping parents informed on how their children are doing in reading. We have to demonstrate that we've had multiple outreach efforts, meetings, mail, phone, whatever it might be that we use to keep parents well informed of how their children are progressing in reading. There's a required family meeting. Part of our communication has to be very clear on what is the current reading program being used by their child, the required proficiency level for promotion, and what are the risks or the benefits of promotion versus retention. So parents or caregivers of children who qualify for retention really have two options in this policy. One is to consent to the designation of retention in third grade upon the recommendation of the school, or parents can choose for their children to be promoted to the fourth grade with the condition that they consent to their child enrolling or participating in a supplemental reading support program that we provide as a school district, and that is approved by MSDE at no cost to the parents or the guardians. So those are the two options for parents. Well, what happens if a child is retained? A child must have a student reading improvement plan reviewed that includes the following: how they are accessing their Tier 1, their core reading instruction. They have to have intensified interventions beyond the previous year. There has to be a good description of all the evidence-based strategies that are being used. They have to be provided with daily small group explicit reading instruction, frequent progress monitoring, and data reviews. They also have to have access to that before and or after school supplemental supports that I just referenced in the previous slide. They also have to have a family read at home plan. So those are a lot of requirements for our district if we do retain a student. I don't know if you have any questions at this point before I go on to our current status.
Can I just put a point in? Sure. So as we hear the presentation the first time we're presenting it to you all, think about all the additional support that students and staff need in here. So when we get to budget later on and you see again the request for the math and reading specialist, the reading specialist going to be very necessary to implement this policy the way it's intended. This is going to be a big lift. Is it good for kids? Yes. But it comes with a cost too, and a lot of time commitment and training, everything, support for students, the coaching. So just, that's all I keep thinking, hearing that part too. It's real. So, sorry.
I just had a couple questions on the promotion, like choosing grade 4 promotion with the consent of the parents. Or is that just basically pushing them through? I know you have a supplemental plan that they're going to have, but doesn't that just compound the future if they don't continue to get proficient? I mean, aren't we just, at that point, that's been a complaint across the entire U.S. is we're just pushing students through. It almost seems like if the parents just want to move on, but we know there's not a ton of accountability going on these days. Not saying it for all.
But that's why the second page.
What? I understand they have the SRIP program, but they're in 4. Are you going to retain them in 4, or do they go through the parents get an option to move them to 5, and then they get an option to move to 6? It can be a compounding situation. So I know this is a state situation, but have we asked these type of questions where sometimes it's not the parent's decision?
Do you want to take?
So joke about, go ahead. I'll fill in.
It's the part that gives the parent an option. The caveat there is that they have to, and it would have to be done in writing, consent to putting their child in a supplemental program, which means summer programs or before or after school programs.
Okay.
So you get the choice to let us keep your child in 3rd grade. We'll have wraparound services that are more intensified. It won't just be, oh, we're going through 3rd grade again. There'll be a lot more there. This policy requires that we at least give the parent a choice, but it's not just you can go on to 4th grade. It's you can go on to 4th grade if you agree to putting your child in one of these programs. Does it compound the issue if they just keep going? As a literacy expert, I would say yes. I would agree with you. It's why, we can talk about why we've chosen 3rd grade. It's that pivotal year where you're switching from learning to read to reading to learn and all that comes with it. But to answer your question, yes, but we want parents have to have a say.
Right. No, I'm tracking. The summer school, before and after school, that answered my question is what else is going on besides just the SRIP program? I thought was maybe just having parents at home helping them, or you're moving along here, here's some extra reading. I wasn't sure what other avenues there was approached by the state or the school district to kind of help them, guide them back to where they need to be.
And I'll be back at some point all by myself with the adolescent literacy policy, which picks up in 4th grade and goes on to 12th. That just was released by the state last week at their board meeting, the first draft of it. So it's open for public comment at the state meeting, at the state level. And then once all that approval for the grade 4 through 12 version of this comes out, then I will have to do the legwork for those grades and be back to talk more about what happens as a child continues on to support their literacy growth.
Okay. And then next question about the multilingual learners being able to be a good cause exemption. Again, doesn't that compound if they're not able to read in English and then they're getting a good cause exemption to move along? How are we remedying that situation? Because being bilingual or not first language English, I understand that is difficult for these students, and we want to help them move along. But if you have a good cause exemption, what is being helped with them? Is that the same manner as the other students?
So that says it has to be in accordance with WIDA criteria, which is the assessment that we use for our multilingual learners to make sure that they're growing in their language development. So they have to hit certain benchmarks on that ML assessment in order to show they're acquiring the language, they're learning it at the rate they're supposed to. If they're not demonstrating growth on that WIDA test that's on that slide, and I can't think of what the acronym means right now, but if they're not demonstrating growth, they wouldn't be eligible for a good cause exemption.
Okay.
And if a parent chooses to not go with their attention and to go with the services over, before and after school or summer school, and they don't comply, they don't send them, would they basically be held back?
I'm really hoping that gets answered in the adolescent literacy policy, because I have the same question and I can't get a clear answer. Like, okay, well, what if you don't show up to our summer program? Then what happens? So that is a question that's on my mind as well. I'm sorry I don't have it.
I just didn't know.
No, it's a great question. That I hope to get clarity for that what is happening this summer between 3rd and 4th grade, especially if you said, no, I want my student to move on.
And are there other counties, regardless of whether or not it's Maryland, that are already doing this? Are we kind of, is this?
Other states have done this.
Okay. And the data is showing that this is helpful?
Mississippi, Indiana, Florida, there's a third one I can't think of. They've all shown it's caused no harm to students. And in all of those cases, by the time students get into middle school, they're demonstrating growth in literacy. I think there's about 10 states that have done it, but the research that's been given to me has been for those 3 states, Florida, Mississippi, Indiana.
And this is the plan that for Dr. Wright in Mississippi that turned those schools around.
Yes.
I forget the numbers, but they were in the 40s to top 10, I believe, in Mississippi.
Yes.
With this plan.
I think the other thing to mention, because I think the question was really good about the supplemental programming, when we think about before and after and summer school programs, we probably all have an idea of what that looks like in our mind, but this is very specific around reading and has to be provided by somebody who is trained in the science of reading. So it has a lot of teeth in it for the system to put together a very comprehensive supplemental program for children. I think it's designed to make sure that kids don't continue to do poorly and be moved forward, even if parents might not feel comfortable with retention.
I feel like, in my opinion, there's, you were saying, like, no harm can, if anything, this can only help and support our students.
So where we are presently, we have high quality instructional materials in all tiers of instruction here in Queen Anne's County. We have a very strong literacy program. Our elementary educators in Queen Anne's County, there's 306, and they have been participating in the science of reading training. Our completion rate currently is 68. We have 5 that haven't started this process, and we have 43 in process. So this is a program that's offered to our staff through MSDE. It is funded by MSDE. And we have had a very good success rate with our teachers participating in this program. So, the Read and Lead grant, which was written by Bridget and myself, the county was awarded $173,000 and some change. Dollars to be able to buy some additional instructional materials that we needed, which was Amplify M-Class Dibbles for K through 5, which is an instruction and assessment format or platform. We were also able to purchase sound walls for grades 3 to 5. We already have those in K to 2. Focal text chapter books for grades 3 to 5. These were some additional things that were afforded by writing for that grant and receiving it. We do have a multi-tiered system of support in place. We have the framework here in Queen Anne's County. We have presently 3 district reading specialists. Small group instruction, professional development has been a big focus for the last year, actually a couple of years, to really be able to help teachers know how to provide that tier 2 instruction. And we have program monitoring. So what we need to be able to fully be in compliance with this, this policy by school year 27-28, when it all goes into effect, is we definitely need to now secure funding to ensure that we can provide the intervention to children in the tier 2 level. Those are children who are not reading at grade level, and tier 3, which are our most needy children. We need to have this available for all children eligible for these services pre-K to 3rd grade. We need funding for that supplemental reading program that we've discussed for the 4th and 5th graders, if they should not be retained but need additional reading supports. The job of a reading specialist is very extensive, as you can see here. They need to be able to provide literacy coaching, which you've already heard is part of this policy. They need to be able to develop and deliver school-based professional development. We need to ensure that student reading improvement plans are written and well maintained for all of our students, so we're going to have to be able to demonstrate we're doing that. To schedule and facilitate parent meetings to help them stay informed on their child's reading progress. They would be the highly trained staff for implementing our Tier 3 intervention. Multi-system tiered systems of support has to show that we are increasing and intensifying instruction if children are not meeting the mark and not becoming grade level proficient in reading. So Tier 3 would need to be conducted by our most trained staff. They would need to progress monitor for all Tier 2 and Tier 3 students so that we can assure that the student reading improvement plans are making progress and children are improving reading on their reading, and then collecting data that's needed for our district and for our state reporting. It's a lot of work for a reading specialist. So some of our next steps, Bridget and I want to be sure that we hold some literacy nights here at the Board of Ed for parents and caregivers. We want to make sure that our parents are aware of this policy and the implications, and also to be able to shine a light on our literacy plan for Queen Anne's County and how we want every child to be reading on grade level by the end of 3rd grade, because we know that makes a difference in their lives forever. So we have, you can anticipate that there'll be a website with information on the Maryland State Department of Ed Comprehensive Literacy Plan, as well as our policy that we're talking about tonight. Brochures and information that are available to share to families and caregivers throughout our district.
And if I could just add on to that slide. So we don't have to have this policy ready to go until September 1 of 2026. We're here tonight in February of 2026 because teachers, and especially teachers of kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade students, really want to be able to talk about this with parents. They asked if there was a website or a brochure or a flyer that could be connected to Letters Home. All great ideas. We wanted to be able to make sure that our board was fully informed on everything about this policy and what it includes and what it entails before we started distributing information, brochures, websites from our office, so that we're all in the know and supporting our teachers and our parents and caregivers of K1 and 2 students. You know, again, as it sits right now, it's our 1st grade, our students are in 1st grade right now who will feel the implications of this policy at the end of their 3rd grade year. I also want to mention that we are highly tracking every kid across the district who's receiving reading intervention services, but we are being very particular with what we're recording for K1 and 2 students, so that when we are sitting with parents in 27-28, we are able to show documentation, what we've been doing the past 2 years from a Tier 2 or Tier 3 perspective, data, what's been happening from a qualitative approach in their classrooms. So we're doing all this now so that we have everything in place and we can really just talk openly about it, answer questions when we come back in March and April, and then be able to have lots of public relations materials out there so that we're not all dealing with this next winter when it's coming at us very quickly. Sorry, Angela, go.
No problem. So some things that we have already started, as part of my role in the district, I do oversee and supervise the Judy Centers, and the language of science of reading has really been something our parents have asked us more. They want to learn more about that. Parents of young children are starting to hear that in the literature, on TV, different places. So we have been providing some professional learning opportunities for parents on what does that mean? What does it look like? What does it involve? And the parents have been very receptive to that, and we've done several sessions on that. And that's another way we can start with our very youngest families, our youngest children, their parents, and help them to understand what it means to be taught reading in public school now, following the science of reading standards or expectations.
Did you want to say something?
I just wanted the policy that's being proposed tonight for first read, that was approved by the state already.
Yes.
And so that doesn't mean that we can't make additions or edits to it over the next 3 months but it would, the timing of this, while everything else is really good to get the information out, teachers can start talking about it with families, but it also would give us time if as a board make any edits to it, we could still run those edits back through MSDE to make sure that they approve of the edits and everything is good. So
thank you for bringing that up. You'll see in that second attachment is the sample they gave all districts of what our promotion and retention policy should look like, what should be included in it. It is pretty rigid. We will be able to do a lot. If there are points of clarification or if a part needs to be more clear, we can certainly do that. We had a lot of fun with the CAC in having them look at these documents and give us feedback. We amended some things on the policy because of their recommendations. It's been to SSIC. It's been to the elementary principals, the reading specialist. I've been talking to grade 3 through 5 teachers about this ad nauseum. So thank you for bringing that up. There won't be much of anything we can take out, but if we need to clarify or if there's something you want to add, certainly we can. We've just got to run it back to our liaison at the state and get another rubric that says you're still in compliance with what needs to be on here. In addition to the Judy Centers, no matter how old your children are, but especially your 0 through 5-year-olds, your 0 through 9-year-olds, please be reading to them at home, even if it's just 5 minutes at the end of the night, or to kick off the morning. Ask those what, why, how questions, and I realize that our office should probably create like a friendly parent flyer about questions. So not just what color's the main character's hat, but what do you think the main character's going to do next? Questions that really get them thinking, that challenge their comprehension. We have a great partnership with the Queen Anne's County Library. Starting February 9th, we are kicking off grade 3 book buddies. And so there are volunteers who will come in and read to our 3rd graders on their lunches once a week. An excerpt from each book, and they're all books that we already have in our school libraries. And at the end of the 4 or 5 weeks, the students get to pick the book that they want to take home. So this is for our 3rd graders. Reading below grade level are part of this initiative with the library. I linked the library, the mobile library schedule. They're in places all over our county. So the parents had access to that. I linked their program of events, their monthly programming calendars. So again, especially with students who are really getting into learning about foundational literacy, those 0 through 5, 6-year-olds, exposing them to language and reading. Please read to them. Something else I wanted to say, but it just slipped my mind. Okay, I think we might be. Yep. Okay. Questions? Oh, I know what I wanted to say. There's all different kinds of, kids out there. So you might have a child who just wants to curl up in your lap and be read to at the end of the night. Great, that makes it really easy. You may have a child who's just really wiggly and wants to be playing. Let them play, but open a book and just start reading, because I would bet that they may be more audio or if you can make the story really fun and then ask them questions, I can almost guarantee that they'd be able to answer or ask a question about the story. So whether you have a kid who just wants to play with Legos or something and not sit in your lap and read, fine, but please open a book and read to them. Or, if you get lucky and have somebody who wants to cuddle and read, please be doing that for a certain number of minutes a night. Sorry, go ahead. Question.
Do you have an estimate of how many of our third graders would have to be retained if we had to start this year?
We do. So we did just a data poll in December. At this point, we could only use our iReady data. Eventually, we'll have to use MCAP, and we're still really wondering about the turnaround time because they take it in May, and we don't get our scores right. So there's lots of discussions that happening there. With the data poll we did with looking at iReady data, this year, right now, it would be about 15 to 20 kids in every third grade across the district. So that's about another class size. They would not qualify for good cause exemption.
Sorry, 15 to 20 kids in every...
One class, one
class.
About one class in every school.
One class in every school.
Thank you. Okay, all right.
Now, keep in mind that the current third graders, they were the first round of students who went through this big pedagogical shift of moving away from balanced literacy, where everybody got a colored reader and we asked you questions and kept it moving, to this structured literacy that focuses on phonics and fluency. So they got all these new programs when they were in kindergarten or first grade that has followed this shift, quite frankly, back to the science of reading. So it may sound jarring to say every one of our elementary schools would have up to, I feel based on what we're seeing and what we're doing and what we're planning to do, that number will tick down. That is the goal, that is the hope, that there will still be kids, but I think that it's a class, or it's a less than a class size at each school right now. For us, it's a great indicator of where we're heading.
And how many reading specialists would it take to implement this program? Like
40.
What, excuse me?
So the hope is just
going to say 50.
50. Oh, you're to aim high.
I like the 40.
Thank you. Just kidding.
I mean, one per school. There's no way they could keep up with that, is there? I mean, just every single student. You'd need at least one in kindergarten, first, second, third.
So if you look at all those responsibilities, right now we have our general educators or other special educators in the building teaching those tier 2 interventions. We don't foresee that changing. It's the tier 3 interventions that the reading specialist, because tier 3 with MTSS has really taken on some traction, and we need to do it better. We need to do it a lot better. We have a program that we bought with the grant right now that we're not able to fully implement because we don't have human beings in the building to fully implement it. So getting them back in the building, that would be their first responsibility. Their second responsibility, coaching, and then their third responsibility, the incredible amount of tracking and paperwork and parent communication that's needed. And they would be available for very little else.
Do we have all the tools, like between iReady and MCAP and everything?
Yes,
we do.
Yes.
Or whatever they're, sorry, Power School, iReady, whatever. All this
We're well positioned with high quality instructional materials.
It's just implementation.
We need the staff
resources,
and we need the level of a reading specialist and the training of a reading specialist to work with our most complicated children who have reading concerns.
This is a huge ask on all the Maryland counties, so I'm sure we're not going to be the only ones that.
Is there any funding coming down from the state?
This is another
any
non-man.
It did already
non-funded
get that
mandate.
read and lead grant, so that.
Which is just the training.
It spans.
That's just the training, though, right?
That spans 4 years. 140,000 of it went to that tier 3 intervention that we're able to use for program monitoring right now, but we're not able to use the intervention materials that come with it in a tier 3 manner because we don't have people to implement it.
So a non-funded mandate.
Yes.
Right.
Fantastic.
So we're good for up to 4 years with supplies, and then
Supplies, not people.
Yeah, that's the expensive parts of it.
and we didn't want, some districts did include specialists in this or salaries in this. we didn't want to go that route because then what happens after 4 years if you can't build that salary back in? So we stayed in the supplies route, again, with the hope that our numbers will come down so the cost won't be as great in 4 years.
Have we gone to the state and talked about the fiscal situation from the blueprint? Now are you compounding even more stuff on it? Have we gone and have we gotten together as 24 counties and went and knocked on MSDE's door and be like, WTF, mate? Like, we need some money here. Like, this isn't conducive, because you saw our budget meeting last time. Look how much money we have to request extra now to our commissioners just to operate as is. And I'm not saying this is a bad thing, because the program's great.
Right.
But we have to look at it from, I say we, and I keep looking at Mr. Watkins, we have to look at it from a fiscal situation. And we have to take this over to the commissioners, and we have to build a budget. And if we're going to have to keep asking for an extra 13 million every single year, it seems like, if not more, if we need 40 folks, I just don't see this being feasibly possible.
Right.
It's absurd.
Pazam, superintendents, everybody's hitting it at every angle. It doesn't necessarily translate into the legislature adding the money where they need to, which is why we should go and talk, and our constituents should go and talk, because they keep pushing more down on each of the counties and making them responsible instead of doing what they were doing originally. Of course, now it doesn't help that the Department of Education was shut down, and so a lot of that funding is no longer available either. So, it just...
All the counties have the
same
issue.
issue.
Money and time. I mean,
Correct.
time to do everything that we need to offer a student and
correct.
Yeah, you can't argue what it would help, how it will help students.
Not at all.
Right.
But
We know
the fiscal reality.
Correct.
But I just want to thank you both for putting this presentation together. Again, going back to the very beginning, the opening, we don't generally do a presentation when we introduce a policy. This is so big, so important. We've been talking about timing of this for a year or so, it feels like, and I keep saying, I don't think it's right. And now it's right, because it's getting close. We have the approved policy from the state, blessed with what we're proposing. We want to get this out in front of parents and you all, so thank you.
That's a good thing.
so it just goes out for information on the website, right?
Yeah, so this will be posted on the website as a first read. We definitely want community input if folks would like to provide it. It was presented to the SSIC and the CAC. This is, again, the official first read of the policy as well, if anybody has questions looking at the policy. But we'll be back in March and April for a second read and then approval. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is he next?
Next up, we have Mr. Barraclough, a second read of Policy 260.
There it is.
I got it.
Thank you. Good evening again. For the record, Darrell Barraclough, Supervisor of Facilities and Design, Queen Anne's County. Before you this evening is the second read for the selection of architects and engineers for public school construction projects. It's the first read happened last month, January 7th, and so far we have not received any public comment. Any questions?
Not hearing any.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Next up, we have Mr. Bell with charter school process and updates.
All right. Good evening, President Capes, Dr. Kibler, members of the board, executive team. Before I begin, I also want to congratulate Dr. Kibler on his new appointment and thank the board for its leadership. Congratulations. For the record, my name is Michael Bell. This evening, I am speaking in my role as Charter Schools Liaison to provide a public informational overview of QACPS's charter authorizing role under Maryland law. With that framing in mind, The purpose of this update is to create a shared understanding. And I'll begin with our statutory responsibilities, what the law requires, how our process works, and what's been updated in the 2026-2027 application. So for our objective, I'll cover authorizer roles, the annual process timeline, how the evaluation works, and highlight what's been refined in the updated application so expectations are clear and consistent. So what has been updated? We've made it more explicit how early concept proposal feedback differs from formal scoring, how the capacity interview fits into scoring, how our technical assistance boundaries align with our QACPS policy, LEA authorizing best practices, and state guidance. On charter authorization in Maryland law, it designates the local Board of Education as the sole charter authorizer, meaning the board is responsible not only for the decision of whether you approve or deny a charter school applicant, but also for ongoing accountability if a charter is authorized. So, public school expectations. If you look at these right here, these expectations, they frame what capacity to operate a public school actually means. Academic alignment, governance capacity, and financial sustainability are not optional. They're the foundation of public accountability. And this slide, this kind of rounds out the big picture, which is full compliance, operations, and public benefit. Because authorization for the board, it's not simply about granting permission to open or not. It's really ensuring that a proposed model advances public education goals while meeting all legal and operational responsibilities. So here's our process. If you look up here, it's a 5-step process, and it begins with a letter of intent, and then the concept proposal is due March 1st, and early stage, this is advisory only. The formal application is due May 15th, and it's evaluated using embedded scoring rubrics that include the concept proposal, followed by the capacity interview, which is then followed by the CXARC's final report, which is presented to the superintendent, and his recommendation to the board, which is followed by board's public decision. So the statutory timeline, this slide is here so we're clear on the legal timeline. Once a complete formal application is received, the board is under that statutory decision clock. In our published materials, they preserve that requirement to keep it consistent cycle to cycle. So for QACPS, that clock begins with the May 15th submission. Now, opening a charter school requires a substantial amount of expertise and effort, and the Charter School Application Review Committee, that CSARC team, is intentionally robust and cross-functional with 20 experts within our organization split across 2 different teams. This is intentional because charter authorization, it's not just an academic review. This structure ensures the board receives a comprehensive, well-documented record. So here are the teams. Team A focuses on academics, accountability, early literacy, mathematics, special populations, and student services. This continuation slide shows the breadth of instructional related expertise, including multilingual learners, CTE, special education, and student services. Team B, they focus on governance capacity, staffing and certification, finance, operations, other systems required to responsibly open and operate a school. Facilities, health services, technology systems, safety and transportation, they're all evaluated as part of capacity for operational readiness. These areas are critical because the authorizer is responsible for protecting students and ensuring operational viability. So with that said, this slide is really the anchor slide for fairness and defensibility for the board. Evaluation criteria and scoring rubrics are published and embedded within the formal application. Reviewers, they document the scores with written findings tied directly to the application record, ensuring consistency and transparency. So the concept proposal, what's its initial purpose? It's required as part of our local process. It's in our board policy. And it's only advisory at the initial stage, where the CSR team provides early feedback, early clarifications to an applicant, and a chance for an applicant to understand expectations before submitting the complete formal application. Applicants are not blocked from submitting a formal application based on concept feedback initially, and the concept proposal is not scored prior to the formal application. So the capacity interview, this is another scored component that's actually really crucial. So it lets us assess whether the people who are actually going to be running the school actually understand what they've proposed, what they put forward, beyond the written application. Because strong writing alone does not establish capacity. This year, we made that explicit by weighting, as you can see, the capacity interview at 25% of the overall application score, strengthening the board's ability to base decisions on demonstrated operational capacity. This slide clarifies what we mean by, you've heard the word collaboration. QACPS provides technical assistance, which is access to published materials, timelines, rubrics, and written findings. To preserve fairness and neutrality, we do not coach applicants, we do not pre-review drafts, we do not advise on how to rewrite an application where content may be lacking. And my role as liaison is really just to keep communication consistent, neutral, and on the public record. So I serve as a conduit between the CSR team, the superintendent, and you as the board. For due process, all applicants receive written findings and within the shared final report, and a public decision is made by the board. Maryland law provides the right to appeal to the state board, which reviews our local process. Our responsibility is to ensure that the record is clear, our criteria is published, and decisions are solely grounded in that record. So this slide, it's a recap slide from the beginning, and it's simply resharing the key updates from earlier, the concept proposals advisory at the beginning, capacity interviews now weighted at 25%. Our technical assistance boundaries are clearly defined to keep the process fair and neutral. And this slide is a reminder for all applicants, all reviewers, all board members, and the public that charter applicants and related official communications are public records. This ensures transparency, consistency, and a complete record. In order to do that, the charter authorizing process, it's managed through published materials and the designated charter liaison. Board decisions occur only in public session and should be supported by a clear rationale tied to our published criteria. So this is the Board of Education's role right here, this slide. CSR, their advisory, the superintendent makes a recommendation, but as the sole charter authorizer, the board's decision must ultimately be grounded in the application record, the published evaluation criteria, and statutory requirements, not advocacy, not applicant preference, or even general fiscal impact considerations outside of the record. So, in closing, this is the framework that exists to ensure that any charter school authorized by this board meets the same public accountability expectations as all of our district-operated schools. We remain committed to a process that's transparent, as Dr. Kibler has said often, neutral, legally compliant, while prioritizing student outcomes and public accountability. That is the authorizer's ultimate responsibility. So with that said, I'm happy to answer any process-related questions anyone may have.
I just want to thank you for putting the presentation together. Mr. Bell and I talked about this and thought it was a good idea to have a presentation with the board, just to show you all, notify you all some updates we made to the application, but also be able to talk about this while there are no applicants currently. So
Correct.
concept proposals are due in March.
Correct, Mark.
So I know last summer with some questions and things like that, we just wanted to have the opportunity to be able to talk if there were questions or talk about anything now when we didn't have an application that was up. We thought it was beneficial.
Sure. Does anyone have any process-related questions?
And then the notice of intent, that would have to have been delivered 3 months before the application is due?
The letter of intent, yeah, that comes first.
So that's March 1st?
March 1st would be when the concept proposal,
It said 3 months from May, was it May 1st or May 15th or something like
May
that?
15th.
I didn't have anything. Anything else? Well, thank you.
Thank you for preparing this.
Thank you very much. I hope it's helpful.
Thank you, Mr.
Congratulations again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next up, we have Dr. Kibler for AIB responses.
I think Dr. Schreckengoss
Oh, Dr. Schreckengoss.
is going to take the lead. As she gets set up, I can just say we've really tried to keep the board and public informed on the notice letters that we received from the AIB. And so we have some dates coming up, and one just passed for the notice letters that we had to respond to. And so we're going to share both of those, our progress on both of those topics tonight.
Thank you. So good evening, President Capes, Superintendent Kibler, members of the board and executive team. For the record, my name is Jennifer Schreckengost. I'm serving as interim assistant superintendent, and I appreciate the opportunity just to give you a brief update on our response thus far to the letter of notice received from the AIB. So as you know well, we were cited for 3 areas of concern: our 3rd grade ELA proficiency, our 5th grade math proficiency, and our minimum school funding. And as Dr. Kibler said, that budget piece has a different timeline. So I will not be addressing that in this presentation, though Mr. Watkins has already submitted his letter of response, and it is on board docs. So in the letter of notice dated December 9th, we were advised that a root cause analysis of why our schools have lacked academic progress, including solutions and next steps, was going to be due to the AIB by February 15th. So upon receipt of that, return from break, we did begin the process, and some things that we started then in early January were conducting a root cause analysis as a district. We worked with multiple stakeholder groups, including principals, our math and reading specialists and supervisors, to begin to uncover kind of common themes about why our ELA and math scores had gone down. You also have seen our budget draft, which you can see clearly prioritizes support for student achievement and academics in schools. And as Dr. Kibler mentioned earlier, we did begin our mid-year school monitoring visits. At this time, I think we've been set to 7 schools. We have 7 more to see within the next 2 weeks. That is part of our process to examine school improvement plan progress and just talk to principals specifically about the efforts and the outcomes that they're seeing. So then on January 23rd, we had a meeting with the AIB about the root cause analysis, and they advised us then with this summary document that you'll see here that not only do we need to produce a district root cause analysis, but every school impacted needs to produce their own school-based root cause analysis. So what we have done since then, in fact, today we met as an A&S team, and every school began the root cause analysis process with our supervisors, our specialists, our special education supports, really began to examine their school-specific data to uncover the root causes in every school, and are beginning the work on creating school-specific plans. As we know, this is 3rd grade ELA and 5th grade math. However, every school has a need, and every school had a problem statement. We also, the AIB has these guidelines. MSDE has designated 9 schools as in need of targeted school improvement. So those schools were able to do a root cause analysis for those student groups. Would you like me to explain what that means? So MSDE views a school in need of targeted school improvement as an overall Maryland report card score of less than 45 for a particular student group for 2 years in a row. And so that is that designation. Any more that you want to say about that?
I just wanted to say in general with the steps, working with the principals, today was a great day with our principals, giving them time to look at this root cause analysis. This is different for the Accountability and Implementation Board since Blueprint has come on board. Pretty much everything we've done for the Blueprint since we got here, if you remember, that's the first position I was hired for in Queen Anne's County Public Schools. It's really been district approaches to every response that we've given to the AIB or the state of Maryland MSDE. That doesn't mean we didn't have input from all stakeholders, but actually asking the schools and the principals themselves to do a root cause analysis on their school and why the scores have dropped over the past few years. That's new. It's a lot to ask principals. Luckily that there's been some movement on the timeline for the AIB, but I think that we can agree that very worthwhile activity, and I think the principals agree too that taking the time to look at this and dive in and come up with the root cause analysis to be able to take back to their leadership teams in the schools, it's really just time well spent. And I agree with Dr. Schreckengast. While this is specifically affecting 8 of our schools for the AIB response, we recognize that all of our schools in the district can improve, and that's why we ask all 14 schools to specifically look at this. And for the 6 that didn't necessarily need something for the AIB, worked on a problem statement for their schools in areas they could improve.
Thank you. Additionally, we had submitted a draft of our district root cause analysis to AIB for some early feedback. And we have not received final word, but have been in communication. And they're pleased with our progress. They have some good suggestions for things we can do to refine. So that is underway. We also know that since Dr. Kibler has been in office, he has had very clear priorities of focus on student achievement, on leadership development, and on the budget. And so some of the things we have already begun to address. And we've been, I think, open about those things that we have put in place. So the next steps, according to our letter of notice, is to take the root cause analysis and the suggested steps next to create a more defined plan of what we're going to do, which is due to the AIB by April 1st. They will then tell us kind of what their monitoring looks like, and Dr. Kibler and I will be presenting to the AIB board. So in the meantime, schools will submit their root cause analysis back for us to submit as a draft, and then we hope we will get guidelines from the AIB by February 15th about what the action plan due on April 1st will look like. Any questions?
How's this impacting our students? So we're doing a ton of monitoring, a ton of reporting. Who's doing that monitoring and reporting? And are they being impacted in their ability to continue to teach and work with our students because they're so busy trying to gather data and do all this reporting and go and give AIB what they want, but our kids are still not getting what you're beating on us for them not having? We don't have enough people where one group is just monitoring and looking. So who's doing the monitoring and the looking? It's usually the people that are supposed to be teaching our students. How are we managing that?
It's a very good point and well received. What I can say, Dr. Schreckengast and I are using this as a way to get our principals and school leadership team back to being the instructional leaders of their school, and making sure that we are taking time to look at the academic achievement data in their schools to help move student achievement forward. Is it a burden? Is it a lot on them? Yes, but we're trying to use it as a guide to help improve outcomes in the classroom. we're trying to advocate where we can. When we originally got this, we were supposed to have this first draft, was it this week?
February 15th.
February 15th. We were able to push that back a couple weeks. It's to be a draft due in March and April. And we said, if you want us to do this work, it's already a lot on the schools. It's just 8 for us. But Montgomery County, it's 200 elementary schools that they have to do this for. 200 individual reports. It's a lot for us too. We don't have the staffing levels that they do. So being able to advocate for that time, to be able to, we do something that will help improve student outcomes is important to us, but it is a lot.
And if I may address that, I thought of two things. One, when Dr. Kibler presents the calendar options, I think you'll see that he has prioritized time for teachers to manage that data piece and to really look at student work and to see where those needs are. The other thing, when conducting the root cause analysis with our specialists, you know, they went from 1 in each school to 3 district ones. And what they are saying is, it's not, we need more of us because we have so much work to do. It is, we miss coaching teachers. We miss being able to be in their classrooms and support them and help them do that work. Exactly. So that is another real benefit of having more specialists, is that they can support teachers in this work.
Correct.
Does that make sense?
But it is not lost in what we've gone through with budget the past 2 or 3 years and having to cut staff, and the last couple presentations we've just had tonight, the demands that are on our staff members, all of us, from myself down to the classroom teacher. It's a lot, and people feel it.
Any others?
Didn't they extend the deadline just a little? I listened in on the call. They said everybody was doing a great job at responding. Just, I mean, if you hadn't heard it, yeah.
They extended the first deadline. So they kept the final draft deadline, April 1st, isn't it?
Yes, April 1st. So the February 15th has been moved to March 2nd.
Oh, that was it. Okay.
For our draft of the root cause analysis.
The one you had already done? Or
the one we're underway.
Okay.
Yeah, we have some tweaking, but
that was good. We just got a little extra.
We really did try to get on it as soon as we could because we know it's a large task and we want to do a good job.
They did say that everyone had a great response, so that's good so far.
Nice. They were, give you kudos, Dr. Schrecken. I was very impressed on the call with us and some of the ideas that Dr. Schreckengoss had in response before we even had a guide. And I'm sure that's a little bit of what's going to be coming in the final draft because of the ideas that we had. So it's great.
Thank you.
And I'll tell you, we will use those extra 17 days or 2 weeks, whatever it is. It's not much, but it's important time, that extension.
Yes, and so the work that schools did today, they will take back, share with their leadership teams, share with school improvement teams if possible, and really get the school-based buy-in or input as to what's going on there too.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Oh, Mr. Watkins, did you want to say anything about the notice letter?
Sure. So on a different timeline, the finance team had to submit a letter for the plan that we were putting in place. And our plan was essentially going into fiscal year 26, our plan was to align the largest portions of our budgets to be in blueprint compliance. By the time we got to the October and November evaluation, we had already met at the aggregate the minimum school funding at each of the statutes. Now we put in place a plan to continue to work on that to better prepare us to load the fiscal 27 budget in preparation for full compliance next year.
And that letter is posted on board docs that we submitted if anybody'd like to see. If you remember that we received the letter for reporting in 25, got kudos for the progress we're making in 26, but just to make sure that we were continuing on that path.
Thank you. Next up, we have our 26-27 school year calendar discussion. Dr. Kibler, is that you?
It's me.
You're going to add 20 days for snow, right?
This is 26-27.
Oh, still.
So just wanted to, we're going to try something new. Now that you appointed me superintendent, I'm okay with trying something. Not on using our fancy technology. So I've got the power right here now instead of going down. So just to let the board know, so we're on the 26-27 school calendar timeline. What we have normally done now over the past 4 or 5 years is we had the CAC and the SSIC have input onto 3 draft calendars for next school year. What has become a tradition, and I'm here tonight to see if the board would like to continue with that tradition, is basically we put out the 3 draft calendars to a vote to not only our staff members, but also our families. You have a board policy that says we provide 3 draft calendars to staff for input before you all vote. But it has been the thought of previous boards and that we should also get input from families. I totally agree with that. The administration totally agrees. The CAC and SSIC also agree. And so we just wanted to make sure that you all wanted to do that. And what we would like to do is put that survey out, hopefully later this week. It might be the beginning of next. And then bring the results of that survey back in March for a vote.
So with the draft A, B, and C, can we have a D? Shortened spring break.
I believe C.
No, they're all like 7 days. They're all, I'm pretty sure. They have from the Thursday and Friday. I mean,
The C
nobody likes their spring break, but that's,
calendar option C does not.
oh, but then we need it with the, so I can't see them for some reason. But it starts. When does C start?
C starts after Labor Day.
No, so we want, I would like to see one that starts before Labor Day, the 24th, and then shortens spring break, and then ends earlier.
So basically moving everything back 1 week.
Yes. No? Okay. I mean, does everybody like their spring break that much? Is it that? I mean, I know everybody likes spring break, but I just feel like I personally would rather get out earlier in June, and especially if stuff's going to be added.
So,
and then we also need to look at, if you add 3 days at the end, we've already added 3 days, but in order to ask for a waiver, do we have to add 3 more? Sorry,
I have prepared to talk about that in the next calendar.
Okay.
As well, so the way the state law on that works is you have to show building days into your calendar. So we have 3 days built into the calendar. All of these options have those 3 days built in. After that, if you have that much snow, you have to add up to 3 additional more before you can request a waiver. With what we've had snow so far, we are at adding 2 days.
So we would want to end on a Wednesday. So that way you had Thursday, Friday, and Monday. They waived the Monday. Oh, am I not allowed to say that?
You can say.
It's.
So I will also say in draft A, actually, Labor Day is really late next year.
Yeah.
So we're proposing starting 2 weeks before Labor Day. Anne Arundel County Public Schools is at least, there's other districts considering that. They have already approved that calendar, I believe. What that does is, in the absence of snow.
Is A 1 week or 2 weeks?
A is 1 week.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
B is the one that's 2 weeks. It gets us out the week of Memorial Day.
That's great for high schoolers that play sports, but I don't know about, I guess camps are kind of done by that point too. Well, leave it up there as an option.
I mean, mini camps.
Oh, where's that shortened spring break one?
Let's see.
I will also say that it's the board's purview when we bring whatever the calendar survey is back.
Oh, yeah, but that's
can make adjustments as well.
Okay, all right.
Because spring break is what, Friday and Monday?
Right.
Friday and Monday are the mandated pieces of spring break.
That's starting really early. See, can't we just start? I don't know.
I feel like it's up to I would like to hear what the public has to say, and then.
That Friday.
Right, but we have to give them the option.
Friday, Monday.
Yeah, we have to give them all the options that we have.
Friday
Just
and
see what comes back.
That's how it used to be.
What?
And then you guys got a week.
I mean, from the past 3 years, it's been pretty consistent what everybody picks. They pick the same calendar.
Yeah.
It's
for the past 3 years.
Yeah.
So we have President's Day built in as weather contingency, which is probably going to be guaranteed for every year on. Where are the other ones?
If you counted every student day and every option, you would actually count up 183 student days. That's how we get to the 3 built in, so that if we wouldn't have weather, we could pull the last 3 days back. That's how the districts build in the other days.
So a question I brought up last year, and I think Mr. Pender answered it, going back multiple years. My question was, how often do we have weather delay or weather cancellations?
Can't go by that anymore.
I'm aware of that, but I'm saying this continues to be an issue over and over and over again. Are we able to build in at least one more day?
Yeah, I mean, if the board would like that, what we would do, unless you propose another holiday, we would just add it. Yeah.
But the reason I don't like that is because, again, if you want to apply for a waiver, that's extending like the time, the days or whatever. And also, if we did go to virtual, you have to use all your inclement weather days first. So maybe we have some we don't want to use or whatever. So I would say look at the calendar with adding, having to add 3 on at the end is almost the better way to go rather than adding more.
So I'm gonna
front end.
I'm gonna break this down in 2 different things. We're here to educate students, correct? And we want them to be the best students that we can possibly get with their literacy, their mathematics, their sciences, and leaving here. So not scheduling a 4th day just so we can get a waiver so they don't have to go at the end of the year, does that do anybody any good?
There's not much learning that goes on in the middle of June.
Well, but I'm saying if you built that in earlier, they're going to school earlier. And then the second part of that is virtual learning. I know this is a hot topic because of what had just happened. But at the end of the day, are these students really getting the same amount of education than in a virtual packet that people spoke about, or sitting in front of a screen, which we all know half of them, okay, I'm not going to say half of them, some of them aren't actually paying attention compared to actually being in class? So when we sit here and talk about this, we just don't want to put a 4th day in there because now we're looking to get a waiver where they don't have to go to class and they're not doing learning. Like, that's the wrong mindset and character that we should be teaching our students.
But it has to be added at the end of the year.
It
Where are you
doesn't
going to
have
add?
If you can build it into this, somewhere into there, that's what I'm saying. Is there an option to build it in somewhere within the school year that they don't have to go at the end of the year, which they've already finished final exams and it's just a day just to meet requirements? We're here to educate.
That's why we use.
Not cope with what parents or what we think is just to move on, right?
That's why we've used holidays. So normally that they would get off on holidays, they're now going to school because we've asked for that.
Yeah, I got it, President's Day, and that's one of our contingent. But I'm saying, is there ways to build that in? Is there? I'm asking if there is. If there isn't, then so be it.
The only other way to do that, if we move forward with a calendar that has any sort of a spring break, you could use part of spring break as weather contingency days.
And that has happened in the past, hasn't it? I feel like I
So
applaud.
not in my time here, but prior to
I feel
my
like it's been in the last 5 years. I feel like there's been something that's happened like that. But that's
so that would be a potential option as well. That would solve the problem of what you mentioned. Your point is a good one, Mr. Dreher. It's just we don't have a lot of other off days that aren't mandated. So if you had the spring break, that's the only other way to do it internally. The executive team can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I believe that's pretty much where we can play with that.
When it comes to back-to-back professional development days, is that in a contract? Is that, because I know this year, I think we had a conversation about it. I called and talked to you about just recently where they had a grading day, then a professional development.
That's really surrounded just in January around the rollover days for the high schools and middle schools as they switch from the first semester to the second.
So is there a way to condense, like I said, is this a contract thing? Condensing the professional development day, we have 2 of them, into a single one, have them plan ahead and have that as a contingent? I'm throwing ideas, I'm spitballing. I don't know what the contract stipulates. I don't know what they have to move into the next semester and such like that. So I'm not trying to create enemies. I'm just throwing things out there because then that helps not only just the staff, but the students and the parents to be happy that they're getting out sooner too and we're not having those issues.
Can I say something? I feel like in a weird way, we're kind of putting the cart before the horse when we still have a virtual conversation to have. It's like, I feel like we should put this out to the public and find out, and then we still don't have the conversation going yet on virtual, which ties into this, because to your point, we could have more flexibility with the calendar if there's inclement weather, if there was a virtual plan, and that is still on the agenda to discuss, right? Like, I think ultimately
Virtual is not a guaranteed thing yet.
No, but I'm saying, but there is going to be a conversation tonight about it to at least kind of tie it all in. So like figuring out what we could do if say we have weather and like when school would end and waiving all these other days, like we still need to discuss virtual, because I think if and when that becomes a plan, that would impact how we have a discussion about the school year calendar. In my
tracking, when do we have to have this submitted to state?
It's later in the year. I mean, we have time. It's just what we start running into is getting a push from families that want to plan their next year. To go back to the January days, without explicitly asking them, I believe that our high schools and middle schools value those 2 professional development days in January, assuming we don't have weather. And I do think that we would get feedback that they would like to preserve those 2 there, that they're very important. I can speak from as a former high school teacher, very useful time, assuming you don't have weather, having that break to roll over. And I think it would impact them to only have the 1 day there. That still doesn't mean you couldn't do it. I think that's the feedback. Some of my former secondary folks around the table, would you agree?
Yes. Okay.
That's another
semester.
Right.
That's a
Like I
great
said,
way to
it's just
describe it.
Makes
It's a
sense.
prep.
No,
Understanding how the new semester rollover and everything works, I appreciate that.
But it's a good point to bring up to talk about, for sure. I also wanted to use this time to just fill the board in on 3 new ideas that are in the school calendar as this goes out to the public for a vote in whatever form that you all want. 3 new things that I'm proposing. The first, Dr. Schreckengast has presented over the last few months changes to the elementary grading regulation, where we're bringing elementary schools back to the marking period rather than the trimesters. So all of our options now reflect marking periods for the elementary schools. The next thing that we are doing, and I wanted to put the one calendar up here for sure. Every calendar has it. If you look at November 13th, it's in a different color. So the community has embraced over the past few years having high school graduations during the daytime in the morning to preserve being able to hold our graduations outside when it's very warm. Storms are very prevalent. Mr. Pender can talk about the challenges that an evening graduation poses on the Eastern Shore in late May, early June, and the potential to have to move graduation days. So what we have been doing is, with having the graduations during the day like that, we've kept the freshmen through juniors at the high schools home. And to be able to do that, we really need to make sure that they still have the appropriate number of days throughout the entire school year. And so what I'm proposing here is that in this option, for example, November 13th, when we will have conferences for the elementary and middle school students where they would stay home, the high school students will attend school. When their school has graduation in May, that is the day where they will not attend school, the freshmen through juniors, to make up for that extra day that they had. This is the only real appropriate way to do this legally, to get the students the number of educational days that they need. So that's new. thank you to Mr. Pinder and his team in transportation to making sure that something like that could work.
And the 13th is the same on all of them, you said?
I think the conference day might adjust a little bit on the other calendars, but it looks the same.
Okay.
That's a question.
Yes.
I know we have two high schools. Is there a reason why we don't do graduations on the weekend? Why are we doing them? I'm just asking a question. Why are we doing them in the middle of the day when we have teachers and parents that have children at multiple schools? They're either working in the school. There's a lot of compacting going on for people who have children in the system. They got one graduating, they got one in class, they're working, they're not working. I mean, why don't we have them Saturday mornings?
It takes a number of staff members to work the graduation, so there would be a budget implication to having staff members here on the weekend. It doesn't mean, I guess, that we couldn't. Mr. Pinder, has that happened before?
As long as I've been here, it's never been on a Saturday. But as you're stating, it is a staffing issue coming into having it on a Saturday.
So we do them while they're already at work? So we do it while they're already at work and we're paying them? Okay.
The reality. We can, I mean, if the board would like to see it, we could work up cost of what that might be like.
Might not be a bad idea just to understand it.
I mean, we have gotten, since I've been here, several feedback from the community that it's, like you just said, it's hard during the day.
Hard. Right.
They'd rather have it at night, or I've never heard anybody propose it on the weekend, but it's hard for them, you know, other family members to get there or whatever have you.
It's traffic.
Moving and.
Yeah, the traffic on the Saturday.
I kind of feel like it's one day, you take off. I don't know. I'm kind of like, figure it out.
I either take it off or I work half a day. I mean, I go to work.
No, I'm just like, it's.
So it doesn't matter to me.
It is
it's
a
a
pretty
question.
significant achievement for your child.
Yeah, it's like.
It is.
Take a day off, though. I mean,
But the issues that we've, compounding what you said, the issues that folks have seen is, especially when we have to plan for weather, and they got like family coming to town, or their grandma drove 2 hours or something like that
And
then they have
move
to
it.
postpone it, and then it's just, I mean, we can't make everybody happy.
I will tell you, on
That's just
Penn
the things
Island,
that
when
we-
you have a graduation, don't even think about going to any nice restaurant to eat at lunchtime. So you add that on the weekend when you can't even go there when you live there. I think it's, for Penn Island, I think a weekend is terrible. I can't even go out of my house.
That's fine.
how about I do that if it's okay with the board? So we have the graduation is basically set for this year.
Right.
Dr. Schreckengast, during our next high school committee, if we could please pose this to the high schools and design a survey that they can, that we can get some feedback from families. And what I can say is this is an easy enough change to make. This would not stop our calendar discussion. And you can, even if we would get to the point where we approved a calendar, we had this day in here, we could do an amendment and revote to close
If
for
we
high
did-
school students if we decide to make a change for next year.
For the graduation date.
Correct. I would not recommend the board trying to do something this
year.
drastic this
No.
year as families have plans set, knowing the graduation
Right.
dates.
I mean, graduation is only 4 months away.
Right.
I guess I have to get my.
The third thing that is new in this calendar is the spring conferences for elementary and middle schools have historically been not as well attended by families for a lot of reasons. It's getting towards the end of the school year, just time commitments. You maybe have already found relationships and ways to talk to teachers through email and stuff throughout the year, just different in the spring versus the fall. We've also heard tonight multiple times the strain that's being put on our teachers and our administrators and the workload and time, looking at student data, student work, planning for students. I am proposing in this calendar that we add 4 days, roughly the interim period of every marking period. Interim is halfway through the marking period. So roughly the interim period of every marking period on a Wednesday, a half day for professional activities. The reason for this is to frankly give our staff members in the schools time. we are consistently hearing through the SSIC, meeting with principals, our school visits. Dr. Noel and I do a liaison meeting with the Education Association every month, that teachers need time. They need time to look at student data, talk to their colleagues, lesson plan together. These days would give teachers time. I am putting them strategically on a Wednesday. I know that that might be more inconvenient for families, but we have an attendance problem as well. I'm hoping that with them being on Wednesday, it'll encourage student attendance, it'll encourage staff attendance so that the work is done. To do this, again, to get these 4 days, we are giving up the spring conferences, these professional activity days. It would still, in some ways, be more beneficial for conferences, because if a parent and a teacher felt like they needed to talk at a different interval throughout the course of the year, they could also use this time for a check-in with parents.
Has this been sent to the teachers?
This has been sent. We've done that. We've talked about this with the teachers through both our monthly liaison meeting. They were extremely grateful. They're very supportive of it. Dr. Schreckengoss shared this with not only the teachers, and I don't want to speak for them, but I think got positive feedback, and the Citizens Advisory Council, so the parents felt positive about this.
Yes, there was some concern that those days were falling on Wednesdays, with the idea that a half day early dismissal is difficult for parents. But when they understood the purpose and they understood why, to give teachers time to do this work that is so important to help our students grow, they very much bought in to the idea.
This nets 2 additional half days throughout the course of the year. So I know I talked about 4 additional half days. There's another marking period. Our grading policy says we give time for grading. It does net 2 half days over the course of the year. But with the demands on the teachers, it's something that I want to propose to the community, to you all and to the community. And so I'm happy to answer any questions on the 3 changes I'm proposing. I think that's good feedback for us, for the high school committee, on the graduation options. I think we'll expand that. We're not just going to say Saturday graduation. Let's talk about the evenings. One of the challenges in the evenings at Kent Island High School is that they just can't house the graduation inside if they need to. They can only put so many folks in the auditorium, and then you have to start using the broadcast throughout classrooms, the cafeteria, and that's just less than ideal for such a special moment in the student lives. So we really want to try to make it during the day, just to put the risk of storms down. But I still think we pose the question on all the options to people. So anyway, can answer questions there, and also how you would like us to, if you're fine with these 3 drafts going out, if you would like to see a 4th draft as a board, or if you want us to change any of the 3 as proposed. Happy to do whatever.
I guess whatever the majority, I'm fine with the 3 going out. I guess whatever.
Let's just see what the teachers, families, parents say about this, and we can, the community, we can.
Because I know we've been trying, we get it all the time when we have MABE functions. We got Anne Arundel County, we got Talbot County, we got Kent County, where we have teachers and families that are connected to us one way or the other, whether they're working here or whatever. And they have always, in the last 3 years I've been on this board, they've asked that we try to align our schedules with them so that, if it's spring break, everybody sort of has it around the same time, so they can all be off at the same time. Whatever we have here, we have a lot of people that have an issue or, a reason to vote on it, so. They're gonna want to put their 2 cents in. I say it goes out like it is.
Anything? No, not hearing anything. Mr. Watkins, for fiscal year 2026 budget update.
Good evening, everybody. President Capes, Board, Executive Team. For the record, my name is Rob Watkins, Chief Financial Officer, interim here for County Public Schools. And tonight I set before you a review of the fiscal year 26 budget expense sheets. We'll start with that, and then I will follow up with some more information about our fiscal 27 budget. We're spending down as appropriate in fiscal year 26. Projecting well. Is there any questions about the current budget that I can answer for you? Remember, this budget sheet shows that we are about 90% spent down, or at least projected to be spent down this year. Remember that number does not represent all numbers that are going to be spent. That just shows the current expenditures and anything that is encumbered, such as salaries and contracts. There's still lots of expenses that come out of that. The biggest one being down in fixed charges is the state pension payments. Those are not encumbered, so there's still $2.5 million of payments to be made out of that account. You guys have any questions?
Okay.
Okay. So then I bring before you an update to our draft fiscal year 27 budget. Since I left you, attached to the board docs, I should have mentioned that in the fiscal year 26, there are two reports posted on board docs, the detailed expense report and the summary expense report. Underneath the draft fiscal year 27 budget, there are two things attached, this presentation and a draft budget book. Since I left you, we were able to get access to the state file that we talked about last time. And that state file, it outlined the revenues for both the state and local share coming to us. We were able to incorporate those values into the budget book, and tonight we're going to review those values here together. This budget book represents all of the increases to the fiscal year 27 budget above this current year. So this budget book represents all the expenses that we presented to you last week, incorporated through the course of the budget book, located in the appropriate place. And we will talk about those a little bit later.
I just want to take a second to thank Mr. Watkins. For us to have a budget book at this point, with the proposed budget increases, already having now the state numbers, this is incredible. I know that one sort of complaint that has come from the public over the past few years is the board only having that sort of front summary sheet, and in some cases having to vote on a budget without having a full budget book, so that you all as board members and the community members wouldn't necessarily see where all the changes happen at every category throughout the budget. And so to get this to us this quickly is amazing. And I just want to thank Mr. Watkins for all his work on that.
It's my pleasure. So if you want to look at the projected revenues, it's on the screen, but it's also on page 7 in your budget book. This really outlines, the top table outlines the state share of our budget, and then the second box represents the local share of the revenue. And we're going to talk a little bit more about this as we kind of go forward. I want to highlight two things for you specifically. That the total increase in the state share was $1,488,000. We'll talk about how that impacts the budget book here going forward. In general, we saw increases in both the state and local share for foundation, for college and career readiness, for concentration of poverty, and for pre-K. We saw reductions in in comp ed, in multilingual learners, and in special education. I want to highlight that the values that we have that are placed in here, the revenues that are placed in here, do not reflect any additional dollars above the required maintenance of effort that is in the state aid sheet and required by the commissioners to give us. So we did not project any amount of money above the maintenance of effort that they could have provided us. We just stated the facts as we know them today. A reminder that on the same page, the blueprint values also exist, and those remain to be foundation, CCR, comp ed, concentration of poverty, multilingual learners, special ed, and pre-K, and those are highlighted in the blue boxes. In this current budget, it represents $102 million, over $102 million. When we look at how this lays out, so we see overall a projected increase in the state share of $1.488 million. We are showing a decrease in the local share contribution of $164,000. That does not represent a decrease from the commissioner's office. That is simply a value in the state aid formula. Essentially, it's due to the slight reduction of enrollment amongst the subgroups in our system and how the wealth formula dictates that. So that is not to be read as a reduction from the commissioner's office. That is simply part of the state aid calculation. These values, when you add them together, give us a total revenue increase for fiscal year 27 of about $1.3 million. Reminder, this local share does not represent any dollars above the required maintenance of effort from our commissioner's office. When you look at how we take the additional requests in the budget and we lay them out into the budget book, it increases our budget request from $127.5 million this year to almost $141 million next year. That's a projected budget increase for fiscal year 27 of $13,379,125. And when you combine that with the revenue, that projects in our budget book a deficit of $12.1 million essentially. And what this essentially is when we took those asks, those extra positions, the increases in the required increases, the additional requests and increases in the budget, it basically creates a $12.1 million deficit. This essentially represents a potential ask to the commissioners to balance our budget. So $12,055,188 would be what we would need to balance this budget. When you look at how the proposed increase lays out across all of the categories and across the subtotals, you see that the bulk of it does go towards salaries and wages and fixed charges. And we can see that in the graphic, that when you take just the $13.379 million increase, 52% of it does lay out as salaries and wages and fixed charges, so as people. When you look at what fixed charges are, so a reminder, so fixed charges make up $35+ million of this budget. These are all the things that the fixed charges really are. They are their pension costs, their insurance costs, they are Social Security tax, they are health insurance, their retiree health costs, background checks, all the things associated with our wages and salaries and the benefits to support our staff. You will find this on page 47 in your budget book. When you look at the proposed 27 budget, that $140.8 million request, this is how the numbers lay out across the categories and across the subtotals. And graphically, it lays out like this. And again, 83% of our total budget, projected budget, is devoted to people in the area of salaries and wages and fixed charges. So at this point, we acknowledge that there is a need from our commissioners to balance the budget if we go forth with what we are projecting as a need for fiscal year 27. And we can look at the proposed increases by going to page 5 and 6 in our budget book. This is the page that we present to you on the 21st at the budget session. There were no changes in any of the items on it. There were some slight changes to some of the values. Ultimately, the changes resulted in a very minor reduction of the request. So if you look at page 5 represents the requests page 5 and 6 represents a request in two different categories. Page 5 represents the top part of the budget book in white there, represents really the required costs needed to operate our current budget next year in fiscal 27. You add the gray boxes in to complete that request. We believe that we can potentially live without the grade pieces if absolutely necessary, but ultimately we have to find places in our budget to further support the additional needs that those items bring to us. I will point specifically to substitutes, for instance. Substitutes, as we lay them out, there are increased costs to substitutes, and those values are essentially needed to pay for them. When you go to page six represents the program improvements, and this is where you will find the 37 position requests and the other items to improve our programs. So again, when you add up both pages, these requests equals $13.379 million. So stop there and
I just was going to add what we wanted to do tonight. We know it's not technically a budget work session, but we feel like the more that we can talk about the 27 proposed budget, the better. When we had our first work session, we talked about the necessary increase in expenses for next year. We did not yet have the revenue numbers. Now we have the revenue numbers. So this is kind of the board's first opportunity to ask us questions as a team. The proposals, or anything really. And we have a budget work session scheduled for next week as well.
our next steps here. So reviewing the process. So we got state aid. We shared, well, at this point, we've shared the information that was shared in the context of the budget book. We combined the revenues with the projected expenses to create this draft budget. We got the budget book presented. So now it's time to incorporate any feedback from the board to the recommended superintendent's draft fiscal year 27 budget. And as Dr. Kibler said, we're scheduled to vote on this on March 4th, but we certainly could vote on it earlier if that was what the board wanted to do.
Good. Questions?
No, not now.
Making this really hard for us to like nitpick. It's like everything's laid out. It's great.
Well, I mean, they are needs. I mean, when we look at it, I mean, we want to be fiscally responsible. It's super important. But in full transparency, as you've heard tonight, there are many things that are affected in our budget. Remember that next year is the year that we also bring our minimum salary to $60,000 for our first year teacher in Queens County. That was a state mandate. You heard the mandates being presented to you on the policy about early literacy. You can bank that when you hear the adolescent literacy policy, there's going to be additional requirements that come forth with that. So as we continue to grow and as we continue to improve our programs, there's going to be costs associated with improving those programs. This, honestly, remember, it represents about 10.5% increase over this year's budget. This is a relatively tame request compared to really what we could be requesting, and or when you look at the potential needs even further down the road, what could be needed in those roads?
We had just the cost to maintain was roughly 7% increase.
That's right.
The $3 million additional expenses, roughly a little over 3% increase, correct?
That's correct. Yep.
You know, I've been trying to equate this is a big ask, you know, 12 additional $1 million, 13 total. But I start to think about my own home budget. And you think about what you're seeing in your electric bill, your heating bill, your grocery bill. And I'm like, wow, we're asking for 10% more. That's probably at least what my expenses going up at home as well. It's not easy. And as you said, Ms. Eichler, to look at this, they're not easy decisions when you look at the list of what do we do. Modest increase, I think, in the additional expenses, the 9.5 to maintain, to where you hear the AIB telling us that, you know, our scores have gone down and we need to improve, which we know. You hear the new literacy policy that's just going to put another demand on our teachers and our administrators in the school, and frankly our central office personnel as well. It's everyone, the demand. And so we're trying to balance all that, recognizing that these are real dollars.
Thank you. We appreciate this.
Absolutely.
We'll have lots of questions next time.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.
Yes, and next week is scheduled another budget work session on just the operating budget, correct?
Just the operating budget.
Yep, so just this book, basically.
Next week or in 2 weeks?
We got one next
And
week.
then
I think it's next week and then 2 weeks after.
11th and the 20th.
Fifth. Yeah.
Next up, we have virtual learning and then the 2025-26 calendar discussion with Dr. Kibler.
So in speaking with Ms. Capes, when we were setting the agenda, the question was posed to talk about virtual learning as well as just where we're at with this school year. So I think myself and the team are prepared to talk about anything. I thought it might be helpful to at least start with where we're at this school year with the closings we've had. And so we've missed. There we go. Getting good at this, Ms. Dennis. Thank you. So to date, we have missed 6 days of instruction. And so you all approved last time that we submit a request to the state to be open on President's Day. That request was approved. You've noticed the communication go out on that. So that's 1 day that we will make up. We have the 3 days already embedded into the calendar at the end, as Mr. Dreyer brought up in an earlier discussion. So that will make up that's a balance of 4. So we still have 2. So the way the calendar is constructed right now and what we've done the past few years, not historically forever, we would be required to add 2 days in June. June 15th and June 16th, looking at the calendar. The way the state law works, if we miss 1 more day, that's a 3rd we're adding. At that point, we would be able to request a waiver from the state to waive any additional days over the 3 that we're going to be asked to add at the end of the year. There is some momentum around the state. The superintendents got together to talk about this, to request waivers, knowing that, last week was wild, a storm that many of us haven't seen, just that obviously not the total amount of snow, but just the way with the ice on top. There's one district in Maryland that shut down for 7 school days because of it, pretty major district. So big impact. So I think there will be some momentum for a waiver if we have to go that route. The state was under a state of emergency last week for 4 days. So that does play into it. Doesn't automatically guarantee it, like I believe it does in a neighboring state. But it can definitely be used in your argument when you request a waiver. So that's where we're at right now for the current school year.
Ending on the 16th.
Yes. Unless, in theory, because it has been asked by the public as well, even though we don't have it as a labeled as a weathering contingency day, you could do something with spring break, although that would be difficult at this point because we didn't kind of inform the public that that's a possibility. That could pose a staffing issue as well as just attendance in general, but for transparency, it is something we could consider if you would like, instead of tacking those days on in June.
Winter's not over.
And winter's not over. Are there any questions or anything you want to talk about just around that with the adding of the days and what has already happened?
Spring break is a week this year.
Yeah, I can pull the calendar. So I have the calendar up here.
April 3rd through the 10th.
That's correct. So the state law is that we would be closed for Good Friday and the Monday following Easter. So if we did anything with spring break April 3rd and April 6th would not be touched.
The 7th through the 10th.
And my recommendation would be you start at Friday and pull backwards if that was something that we would do.
I would say the 9th and the 10th for the 2 makeup days. I mean, I know we're going to have some teachers out, we're going to have some students out, but it's my thought that you could do a lot more in April than you can in June with testing and everything else coming up.
So before we start worrying about dates right now, because Ms. Dre just said it's probably a little late to make any date changes this year. One of the questions that I've always had is, so when we were in COVID, we had to issue hotspots to a lot of students that did not have access. And I believe some teachers too, because we have people that are in areas where they don't have Wi-Fi access. Do we know what that cost would look like? These are questions that we probably ought to have answers to so that we can make informed decisions. So we know that collectively we have hundreds of families in this county that don't have Wi-Fi access, even though there are 3 companies working towards fixing that. I don't remember the number of how many of our students are in those domiciles and what we need to do financially to counteract that. Sorry.
So I have some real rough numbers.
Okay.
Try to be prepared tonight to discuss this a little bit. This is not, you had talked at one time just kind of offline about some grants, so this does not include any. I just haven't been able to do that yet. I would estimate that we would probably need at least 300 hotspots for students, and I put a number. I don't have a good number. I kind of tried to be conservative and maybe about 50 for staff members. It could be a little less. Talking with our supervisor of technology, he estimates a hotspot costing around $80 a piece. So the purchase of the hotspots is roughly $28,000.
For 350 of them?
Correct. He said the last time when we were really using them for COVID, the price was $30 a month to have it activated. We were receiving a discount and got it for about $15 a month. He's hopeful that we would be able to still get a discount and just have it on for about $15 a month, but it could be $30. What I estimated if we were going to do a virtual plan, my recommendation would be that because you still with the virtual plan have to have some days built in regardless. Right. So history would tell us we probably wouldn't need them in December, because your built-in days, if you have days off in December, would probably take care of the December days. So we would probably hand them out and turn them on for January, February, March, so 3 months. But again, I'm just trying to plan. We can edit it as you want. That's my initial. So that would be a cost of around $16,000 or $31,000, $32,000, depending on if we got that discount or not. For the hotspots.
On top of the 28,000.
On top of the 28. So you're looking at, what is that? Roughly 44,000 or about 60,000 to have the hotspots on for 3 months. To this point, the way the calendar is built this year, we would have used them 2 days.
How many, during COVID, we had a hotspot because I didn't have internet at the house. The hotspot didn't work because we don't get cell service. So how many of the people, if you don't have cell service, the hotspot doesn't work? Do they know how many people? Because I know there was kids, they were going to the parking lot.
Because that was the other thing too, because you would drive to the parking lot and then they would open their laptops, get the downloads, get the updates.
And see, we wouldn't do that because this is for weather.
Right.
That's true.
And you would still need to get laptops.
So the other piece of this is, now I do have so I've been researching what some other districts are doing for their virtual plans, but if we were going to go ahead and go 1-to-1 for every grade level, right now we're 1-to-1 devices for first grade through 12th grade. So if we wanted to add devices for pre-K and kindergarten, we would need roughly 300 for pre-K, 500 for kindergarten at about the cheapest option. Our supervisor of technology says a $400 a pop. So you're looking at $320,000 for that.
So when you do the math, and then you think about how many days that you have, it's like, what's the average cost per day to have virtual learning? Like really, when you talk about hotspots, you talk about activation, you talk about the laptops, you talk about the case, you talk about the chargers and all that stuff. Let's just say on average, school districts have 6 days, 5 days, 5 days. What does that?
So you can't use all 6 days in virtual learning.
So to our point, right now, we would.
It's like this is like a big price tag for.
I think she's what's trying to say is like it's $100,000 a day.
Right.
Yeah.
If we have 6 days and we're looking at 500,000
You can't
between
even implement
laptops.
virtual learning until you've used our 4 other days. So your 4 snow days you have to use before you can even go into virtual learning. So that 6 days isn't even 6 days. We'd be at 2 days right now. We could do virtual learning.
And so the discussion you're having right now, there are.
So it's actually more. It's compounded even more. You're
Yeah.
talking at this point $150,000 a day or $200K a day.
Roughly half the districts in Maryland do not have a virtual plan for the reasons we are discussing now. Sir?
Mr. Dreyer asked earlier, historically, I kind of went through and ran the numbers. So for the past 16 years, on average, it's about 5.2 days, 5 days of closed for inclement weather. Back in 2013, 14, we were closed 12 days. That was the most. And then back in, trying to read my own handwriting, I think it's 2021, 2022, it was 1 day. But if you average it out over 16 years, it's about 5 days a year, sir.
Appreciate those numbers. Thank you, Mr. Penner.
So I do want to share, because I don't, with the devices, it's a good question. I did notice another district in the state, they are not one-to-one for those real early grades either. So at elementary, they are one-to-one for middle and high. Their students have their devices with them all times, just like we have in the district. So one way they get around the device, not the Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi we can't go away from if you read the law, in my opinion. But the devices, they get away from that without having to buy them for everybody. By request, they ask parents, do you need a device brought home? So that, like me as a parent, so I have 2 boys that are elementary age. I have 1 desktop computer at home, so I would only request for 1 to come home. So because they are in grades where we do have one-to-one, one of those devices could then be shifted down to a pre-K or kindergarten if a parent needed it to come home. So you could in theory, we could try that without buying an actual device. That doesn't get away from the Wi-Fi cost, but it could bypass the computer cost. Although I will say that would be a big burden on the schools to try to manage that. Like, okay, I got to take a couple computers from the 5th grade class, run them down to the pre-K. You'd have to get the weight. I mean, we can do it. I'm just saying that's an alternative to save on the devices, because I'm trying to give this a true look, because I know that it's
because the law is they have to have.
So I brought the
law is they have to have these things.
So I brought the law up, and it's linked in here if you all want to look at it on your computers, and it's linked for the public as well. This is the statute, and if you look at in part C, and then the little Roman numeral 3, a plan to ensure that all staff and students, including students with disabilities, homeless students, and English language learners, have the necessary devices at home for virtual education days, including access to Wi-Fi.
And what is the consequence if you run a virtual program without those items?
So go ahead. I'll let
What happens if a county goes with virtual but doesn't have these things? What can the state do?
In this case, so like with Blueprint, they wrote it right in there that that there's some mandates to go ahead and withhold funding.
That's
I will say that this law This law does not explicitly say what the punishment is if you would do it and not implement it. I would try to default to council on what some of those ramifications could be.
I think just like any other violation of one of these education article statutes that the state MSDE could, issue some corrective action or sanction or
Something else that
order
costs us
you
money.
to comply or to stop doing it. Something like that. I don't think it's, like Dr. Kibler said, I don't think it's as specific as like AIB says with a formula but it is there. I mean, I agree with Dr. Kibler. I think the statute is pretty straightforward and says what you need to do. I would also add you have to have these synchronous hours, not less than 4 hours of synchronous instruction, which
is very interesting that we just got a
do.
public comment on this right about now. It's very timely because one of the questions in this is implementation of paper packets for equity. And they talk about how other districts such as Talbot and Arundel, the digital divide is addressed through the use of supplemental paper packets or preloaded materials for students in low connectivity.
But that is not the law.
Correct.
No, I'm not. I know
I
you
am
know.
with you 100%.
I know you know, but I'm
Yeah.
saying that is not the law. And it's like,
We're not followers, we're leaders.
That's
We're
right.
gonna be here.
And I will
Just
tell
saying.
you the one part of this email that did rub me the wrong way, being a North County representative. Queen Anne's County is unique in its geographical diversity. Weather conditions that create hazardous ice in northern rural reaches of the county, such as Sudlersville and Churchill, often do not exist on Kent Island or in Graysonville, and vice versa. Heavy fog often does not affect northern rural areas. Obviously, they don't transverse between the two. But has the board considered dividing the district into 2 zones for weather-related decisions, similar to the Hereford zone model used by Baltimore County? Adopting a North County and a South County island split would prevent thousands of students from losing instruction time when their local roads are perfectly safe simply because of conditions 20 miles away.
Mr. I'm too tired. Mr. Pinder has explained this several
ad
times
nauseam.
because this is a complaint we've got over and over
Over again.
about, well, just open Kent Island High School. Don't worry about Queen Anne's.
Right.
I feel like we need to keep addressing this, that we're a whole and not
Exactly.
pieces. And people don't seem to understand that.
And I would like
Do you
to
wanna
address the
reiterate
fact that this last,
Just remember that, we're a 2-tier school system.
correct.
And buses on Kent Island and buses in Sudlersville do tier 1 basically, but tier 2, some of those buses come to Centerville to cut down on the cost associated. I mean, we would have to have a substantial amount of buses added to it to accommodate that request.
How much money would we save by school being closed for a day? Is it substantial at all? Not having to feed the kids, bus the kids, air, whatever, electric?
Gas.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just
Right.
wondering, like, is there any cost savings? Like when school's closed for the day, are our bills that much different?
Well, I can tell you this, as far as the utility part of it and what we just experienced this past week and a half of temperatures in the 20s, like we're not shutting anything off because the ramifications of that, you're going to have pipes busting everywhere and it's going to cost us a heck of a lot more money.
And our bus contracts are the same no matter what. So there's really not much savings.
The other piece of this virtual plan that's a little bit, I don't know, overlook's not a good word to use, but it's a piece of it. You're not allowed to look at any employee savings through the virtual. You have to find something for every employee to do on the virtual to ensure that they still get their work hours in.
And makeup.
Or makeup.
Or makeup.
Yeah.
Back to
You're not
what
really saving.
Mrs. Eichler said, I mean, it'd be great if we could, but it doesn't seem like that, to say it bestly, what's that saying? The juice is worth the squeeze?
I mean, what, $200,000 a day?
Yeah, sorry that your schedule is going to get disrupted a little, but it's the weather and no one can predict the weather. And It may snow, it may not snow. Do we may have to go a couple days extra? Or we're going to lose a couple days? Or, I mean, we've all dealt with this our entire lives. It's nothing new. We've all had to have days added. We've all lost days going to school. And
So I will tell you, we had a superintendent's call, like I mentioned, on Monday. I was surprised that the number was, there were 11 districts. I thought that it was less than that didn't have a virtual. So again, there are 11 districts that I know of, ourselves in that number, that don't have it. So that's roughly half. And some of the districts that do have it, because of the costs we're talking about and just the budget strains that you all heard about, either what we have now or what's coming with some of these mandates, some of the districts that do have it are considering going away from that in future years. So we'll see how that may or may not change. I don't know. And that's,
how do you implement, I see here in the statute, it says implementation of individualized education plans. How do you do IEPs for kids online? How does a teacher manage that when we don't even have enough staff, like in front?
I'm trying to picture how that would even look. I mean, my child has an IEP, and I'm like, what does that even
I mean,
look
that's a hard question without having the exact IEP in front of us, but it's going to making sure that there's some one-on-one time, I'm assuming, between a special educator and or the classroom teacher with the child. It could involve, depending on what the IEP is, some additional or supplemental materials sent home or devices, depending on what the requirements are. I don't know if anybody else wants to chime in to add to that, but it's not easy.
I feel like everyone refers to, because we're getting beaten up a lot about this, but everyone refers to, oh, we did it during COVID. Well, COVID, it was a different time, and it was day after day after day for an extended period of time. Now they want to put the same money in for these one-off days.
Right.
And it's
and
COVID money's gone too.
Yeah.
COVID money was here, is gone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't want to play around with state funding.
And we saw what happened to our test scores after COVID. Just putting that out there too. We saw what happened to the education across the world, not just the United States, during COVID when schools were shut down and went strictly virtual.
And then too,
let's
like,
let that be a lesson. Just throwing that out there.
if you're going back to virtual, parents still work. So the kids are they getting left home alone? Are they going to be able to get on the computer? Where are they going for a daycare or some type of sitter? Do those people have internet access? Are they going to be able to get the kid on? There's so many questions revolving.
My street's clear, so.
Well, I can tell you, we're up by you, and Churchill and Sellersville were a lot more clear than Centerville was.
Heck
so.
yeah. I can get
if
out.
there's ideas and we have the community that has legitimate knowledge on the bill, the laws, that think they could possibly present, by all means. Not saying we need 1,000 people in here, but maybe we're not looking at this from the right angle that they are. I don't know. But we keep getting hounded on it, and if they have knowledge on this, please let us know. If there's a technology out there, if there's a grant that you know about, if there's something that can help us, let us know. We're doing our research, we're doing what we can here, but we don't know everything.
Paper packets are not the option.
Correct.
Are not the
Paper
answer.
packets did not cut it. That's not asynchronous learning. Synchronous learning. Your child is still not getting education. We can send home 1,000 paper packets today and just hold them on till it snows.
And I think, and I was very appreciative of the teachers that sent home paper packets with the anticipation of the storm. And it's nice to have something.
Correct.
But it is not any replacement for actual.
Exactly.
Academics, if virtual learning, if, there was a plan to be like, okay, these kids are actually, this is about academia and them learning, not, oh, we're missing days, so let's just throw something out there so we don't have to go an extra 2 days or, take days away. That's not what this is about.
Going back, Ms. Sutherland brought up the spring break thing. Is there anything that you would like me to do to look into that option, talk about it?
I think it's one of the situations. Are you asking, Carrie?
I'm asking the board.
It's the whole board. It's the whole board. That's just my,
The way I look at it
Got
is
away from that,
for
so I
2
just wanted-
days.
I feel like either way, on the issue of spring break, you're going to have people like myself that don't have any plans to go anywhere, and I don't care. And then there's people that have had a year's notice and that have made plans that do care. So it's hard to speak for what I think would be the best. I know that I don't have a preference. I think that whatever the board decides as a group is fine, but either way, you're going to make everybody mad. If we take those days away, or if we keep them, we go longer. It's like you go longer, you make people mad. You take them away, you're gonna get mad. I'm fine with adjusting the spring break, but to your point, Dr. Kibler, there's going to be attendance issues. There's going to be staffing issues. If a teacher has taken off for that week,
Right, they're not
they
coming
have a
back for 2
legitimate,
days.
it's like that's, and then now you're dealing with substitutes, and it's going to create a situation of a lot of work to open up the schools when no one's going to be there, or staffing issues because you now have to get a sub to be a sub for a classroom where there's 2 kids, but by law you have to. So there's
This
no
could be a
easy
perfect
answer.
time to say if we do decide on one of the calendars next year, where it's a week-long spring break, that we do have those 2 last days as a contingent plan, so that now they have an entire year
To plan.
accordingly. So if they do make the trip, they're just going to have to plan and be like, okay, I'm sorry, but my son or daughter is going to be out because we're making a trip for spring break. But they're planned accordingly. It's a year out. They understand it. It's in writing. It's approved. It's good to go. I'm just saying lessons learned. So when we're doing the schedule for next year, that could be 2 additional days that we could add in there.
So I was just going to say, if you wanted to do something like that, sort of a trade-off, what we might want to consider is, so the Friday and Monday is what we have to do. Maybe we keep President's Day as just a day off. Don't consider it a weather contingency day at all. We can discuss this before you vote too.
yeah.
This is for next year.
For next year. And then just take so we do the Friday, Monday mandate, and then the Tuesday to Friday could be weather contingency days that you all would discuss at any point.
I feel like that's a very, very.
And then you won't
go down that.
Then you all get, the nice thing about that too is you all control turning those into student days, and you don't have to wait for state board approval like you did for the holidays.
I like that.
Yes.
How are you guys?
Look at us.
Just took us a while to talk through it.
But as far as this
That's why
year,
we have
I
these
don't know if there's an easy answer for that. And that's where I think everyone's going to have to weigh in or put a vote for it on it. But I
See
feel
what
like
Carrie's saying by trying
we're going
to
to
do
get
it
some
this year.
pushback no matter what we
I
do.
said I see what you're saying by trying to do it this year. I just feel like we're really
late.
pushing that we're crunched on time.
You mean taking it away from
I just don't like adding those days in June. I mean, and the
nobody
teachers don't, the
does.
students don't, and I mean,
equally,
I'm
we're
not
gonna make people
saying
mad if we
nobody's
take
not
away
doing their
spring
job,
break.
but you reach a point where the grades are in and everything's in, and we're just babysitting kids and being in school. So, I mean, yeah. So I guess that's
So we
why.
could look at, like, for this spring break, would you say the last 2 days of it, Thursday,
That
Friday?
was just my
That's where-
suggestion, yeah,
that's where we're
for
at.
following years, maybe and know that, be flexible. Yeah, we might have some combined classrooms if we take those days, or, different learning those
Would it
days,
be
spring break,
worth
but.
Asking? Like, is this a asking type thing, or is that open a can of worms? Okay.
You're gonna get both sides.
Yeah, I hear
I can just tell you, with only 2 months' notice, when we haven't talked about that as a
Community.
possibility, I think that is hard.
Yeah.
I think everyone's kind of getting their head around the fact that the kids are going to be going longer. I feel like everyone's kind of processed that. I don't know whether or not they like it. I feel like everyone kind of can see the writing on the wall.
But we're not
Everybody's
going
had
to
to do-
July, so that
Right.
needs to be, we
Everybody
won't be in
has to do.
July, so.
I mean, the government was closed for 2 days. We got to make it up somehow.
So the
People
kids,
working on
you
weekends.
get what you get. It's just.
Get what you get. You don't get upset.
But I do think that next year, looking at it proactively would be a good idea.
And I think leaving a President's Day or something in February, or having some kind of long weekend in February in the calendar would be good. Just that's a long 28 days with nothing.
So what we will do before we send this out to a vote, if it's okay with the board, it's what I'm hearing, we'll go ahead and remove the weather contingency day from President's Day. the 2 calendars that have a full spring break, so the one option again did not have a spring break, we will make the 4 days that are not mandated in the law weather contingency days.
Aren't you glad that's recorded?
It doesn't
You
mean
don't
we'd
have to
use them.
remember
It just
to-
means we have the possibility of using them.
I am very thankful for the recording, and usually speaking it out loud, I'll remember. And we have an excellent team of folks around.
There you go.
Memories like steel traps.
Yeah, okay.
Or goldfish. One of the
Or
two.
goldfish. Right here.
907, 909.
I will keep the board posted on the statewide waiver discussions that we're having right now as well. Just to keep you informed of what other colleagues are doing.
All right.
Done yet?
Don't think anybody wants to give public comment, do they?
Anyone?
You.
All right, future meetings and events. So the next CAC meeting and SSIC is February 18th. And then the next commissioners liaison meeting, that is on February 10th. If it's super late, nobody wants to decide, I made a document and send it around. So all dates, all the way till November, they can add to it.
Okay.
Future meetings, we have 2 budget work sessions coming up. One on the 11th and the following one would be on the 25th, and both of those are at 4:30.
Can we just make sure we have somebody for next Tuesday, though? The liaison meeting?
Oh, yes,
Just because we won't be here.
yes. And can anybody want to do the liaison meeting?
I cannot do evenings.
Because we'll be at the,
That's that Tuesday?
yeah, it's the same Tuesday.
I think I can, that's Tuesday, right? Is it at 4:30?
We haven't, I would plan for 4.
Okay, I think I can do that.
It's a little early.
Everyone works.
And then
2 o'clock until.
Tuesdays are hard
we got
days.
here.
I got a lot of meetings.
So
I'll go
just
to the
for-
commissioners with you. Nobody else wants to.
Thank you.
Okay.
March 26th is Queen Anne's County and Queen Anne's County Public School budget public work session, and that's going to be at Centerville at 5 p.m. at the Liberty Building. And then another PSA coming up, the Queen Anne's County Commissioner Budget Information Sessions in May 19th, May 20th, May 21st, coming up. And I don't think we have anything else. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I would like to make a motion to adjourn open session at 9:11.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.